So now it looks like we are sharing. And it looks like everything is working according to plan. All right, let me see here. Okay, so I'll just repeat myself here through the prayers of Holy Fathers, which Jesus Christ, God of mercy on us and save us. Good evening. For those new here, my name is Father Joseph Swaden. I've worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998, and I'm the founder of NFT True Orthodox and Ecumenical News since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space on Facebook since 2016 and on YouTube since 2018. And if you do appreciate what we do here, please like and subscribe. Today we do our live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live as well as member requested video reviews. So let's get started. And as always, if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link at the top of the chat. I'll be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. And if you want your question or comment without super chatting, I'll answer it, but I might miss it if you don't put it up. Also, as you can see, we have the cafe back up for comments. If you want to click that link, or if you're in the YouTube chat, you can click the link that says meet.jit.c/Frozenos Cafe chat, and you'll be able to interact with the chat. With the live stream. So hopefully we'll test that out and see how that's going. So we've got that moving. So again, today's that live Q&A where if we have questions, comments, etc., feel free to just ask away, and we'll see if we can answer them live. Let me see here. Testing other things. I don't know will this make comments go live if I click on them? Let me see here. Nope, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so that's something we've lost from the StreamYard days. So let's see what else we've got going on here. Let's see. So we're going to test this out. As we know, this has been a pretty interesting week. A lot of back and forth concerning Father Peter Hears versus Father Seraphim Rose. And so we're hoping that everything is working. I do see, yep, it does seem to be working so far. So this is good. If anyone wants to jump on, feel free by using the link that is on the screen on the chat or at the link at the top of the YouTube chat. And we will see we'll see how else everything works. And so this is good. All right. So as I mentioned, that seems to have gone pretty crazy. The discussion of what's happened with the greetings. Hold on, and we'll just say greetings. May God bless you. And so we are now using a couple of different features here, so we can do live streaming with this. And as you see, we can get cafe comments up. It looks like I can't put YouTube comments up, but I'm going to have to try to open up a separate YouTube screen to figure that out because I haven't quite figured it out yet. Let me see here. I wonder if I can make that bigger. Let's go. I'm going to just make this bigger. And, okay, so now we're there. Okay. All right. And maybe move that up a little. Okay. Let's see here. And yeah, my wife was wondering if the 40-day post-child birth period includes not doing home typicas. No, you could. The idea is that it's kind of more of the ritual cleanliness of entering into the temple. Right after birth. So you could do Typica at home if she wants to do Typica. Obviously, if she's still tired and has a baby and you have to do the reading, well, that is unfortunately, that is your responsibility. But really, you should be reading anyway. So yeah, it doesn't dispense from that, but keep in mind human weakness. So that's what we're going to be looking at. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. What's this? Yeah, there is an open chat window in Jitsi, but I don't think most people are watching through Jitsi, so we're not going to use that. John MC says, I see the original pre-start screen. I hear your voice clearly. I see recent comment posted right just now, 8:56. Okay, so it's kind of I don't know if this is going to change this substantially, but I can check. If I put it like that, I'm not. Let me just see how that looks on if that changes the view for the channel as well, or if it just changed it for me. Give me 1 second. Let's take a look. Okay. Let me see here. No, it looks like the view is pretty much the same. So I'm going to see if I can change that as well. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it can change the perspective. On my screen, it's showing like I'm taking up half the screen and the cafe is taking the other half, but it looks like on YouTube, it just looks like I'm in the corner, which I mean, I can make myself full screen. That's not an issue. It's just that I can't really do much more than that. So I'm still trying to learn this. Like if I was to switch it to, hold on, let me see here. If I just were to make it like that, I assume that would actually increase. Yeah, I see. Yep, I do see that. Nicola did post that. I'm trying to see if it changes the perspective for me when I go full screen. Well, what if I take it off? What if I just let me take off that screen then? Let's just say I don't share anything. Like, what difference will that make? Will that change it? Let's find out. Okay. So we're testing, and we're seeing what's going on. And I don't see it changing anything. Well, that's not good. Because by now it should have actually taken that off altogether. Share screen again. Let me go back here and share that. Thoughts on the 2-hour Father Hears video where he explains his ecclesiastical situation? Yeah, I think there's been some thoughts on it already. I know that some of that is going to be addressed with Orthodox traditionalist publications. Interview with Father Andrew Kensis, who was a novice there, but they wrote an article basically going through all of the references Father Seraphim makes to the true Orthodox, which really, wait, well, that's not the same video. You're talking about the previous video, which I think we reviewed last week. We kind of gave an overview because it is a pretty long video where basically he just explains why he is in the canonical anomaly he is. But unfortunately, there's not much else that can be done there. You know, they're drawing out the battle lines, but it's over a battle that's not real. Let me see here. Yeah, now the screen is mostly blank. Little picture of you on right remains typical. Kilroy was here view. Well, Father Andrew was a novice at Platina, and he's now a priest of the Rote Corps A, I believe. And so he's going to be interviewed tomorrow, I think it is, or tonight. Let me just see if I can figure out what to do here. Let me see here. Okay. And we're going to check again. And it looks like I cannot really change. Like this is the view that it has. Yeah, he's in the GOCK. Okay, that interview was done today. Okay, very good. And let me see here. Wow. Okay, something happened here. I did something. Now it's just all in white. Okay, is this like all together like this? Hold on. Hitting live. This is bizarre. Did I turn on the whiteboard and I'm not aware of it? Oh, Father Antonios, hold on. Okay. Okay. Move to visitor. Okay. Hello. Um, did that work? Okay. Okay. Test. Yes, I do see that your comment showed up here in the chat, so that is working. Are you able to come into the chat? Because I haven't actually asked anyone to come in yet, so that's what I'm checking now. Yeah, that's the whiteboard. I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. Huh. Okay. What are the main problems with the minuscule group led by Archbishop Gregory of Colorado? Is it kind of a cult? The main problems is it has all the problems that Hakna has, and as well, it has the fact that its apostolic succession got completely ruined by Uniatism. They took in a Uniate to make a second bishop. So I do see that. See the test comment. This is not the way I wanted it to go. Let's see here. Okay, we'll close that. And there's still no change on the screen. That's bizarre. Let me try refreshing it. This is not good. Yeah, this isn't supposed to be. This is what looks like the whiteboard, but it's not supposed to be there. Like on my screen, I'm showing my own image. I don't see anything else. So weird. Let me see if I put back the cafe, if that makes a difference. Okay, we'll check to see. That made a difference on this side. And it really doesn't. Huh. Okay, so now we're seeing that reappear, so this is good. But yeah, I just did return to the comments, but I can't figure out why I can't change perspectives. Okay. Okay, so let me see. So we got the chat back. Not seeing any questions so far outside of it. I mean, basically, as I mentioned, Archbishop Gregory of Colorado is a renovationist, ultimately, is what it comes down to. So that is the main reason why that is a problem. And so he doesn't respect saints of the priestdom west, like St. Augustine, so on and so forth. Let me see here. If you can see the cameras, try dragging the cameras. That may move it. Okay, well, I'll try it. Did that make a difference? That did not make a difference. Okay. No. Uh-huh. Oh, boy. There is a lot of weird stuff here. Okay, well, if anyone joins in, we'll be able to test out to see if there's this multi-person view, which is what I'm looking for. But right now, it doesn't look like there's no other view. So basically, well, we can chat, but unfortunately, there's not much else that can be said unless someone calls in, and then I have to figure out how to let them in. And so let me see. Picture view and right margin is okay. Looks as if you're peering over a fence. Yeah, that's probably just an angle thing. The smaller the picture, the more my name takes up. I just wish I could appear in the center. Magic Zen, Father Joseph, I have a question regarding Chrysostomus of Florina. Why does Metropolitan Demetrius say that Chrysostomus was not genuine when he renounced and repented for his 1937 Ecclesiological thesis? He did this in 1950 in an encyclical. I wasn't aware he said that, and I am not the person you should be asking about that. I would ask Metropolitan Demetrius myself why he said that. If he did, it may have been a misunderstanding, or he may have an explanation. But I'm not him, so I can't answer that sort of question. Let me see here. Yeah, we did the. Somebody just commented on the Why Does Father Peter Hate True Orthodoxy video. I highly recommend watching that one, which started the whole mess of his situations. Let me see here. Okay, Father Antonius made a comment on, I guess, Father John's comment, Father John Whiteford's comment on the Orthodox Traditionalist page. Okay, I heard something that tells me something's going on. Okay, so let me see here. Okay. Hello, kid. Okay, hold on. We're going to add you too. Okay. And add to into stage. Okay. Hey, we've got working things. Let me see how it looks on the YouTube. It doesn't look like I've added anybody on the. Oh, wait, it's gone non-live. Okay, no, you're all appearing in the corner, but nobody's appearing like you see what I mean? Like on our screen, the guys who are in here, Father Simeon and Reader John, you notice like our heads are pretty big on this screen, but when you're on the actual YouTube stream, let me just share that real quick. It's kind of ridiculously small. Like you can see what I mean. We're not even there. We're in the corner, so it doesn't look like it actually looks. Here, let me take that out. Okay, so hello.
Yeah.
Okay, how's it going, Father?
Not, not too bad.
Glory to
I
God.
just I just came in to help you out here.
Okay, well, I appreciate it because I really have no idea what's going on. Like, I've tried this and I thought I had it figured out, and it's a lot less figured out than I thought. So let me see here. Guess I'm going to pin you to the stage, John. Did you have a question, or let me see here. Should I pin myself to the stage? I mean, is that how it works? I guess. Interesting. I have no idea what it looks like, but okay. So let me go back to sharing the cafe. And all right, so this is interesting. We're figuring this stuff out live, and so it's colorful to say the least. There's let's see here. Okay, you see the view looks different to me, but it doesn't change at all for the video. Like, why is it didn't even switch back to the cafe, or maybe it did. But that's so bizarre. In any case, so this is a bunch of people playing with technology. We are in the post StreamYard era. Okay, what happened? Something new sound. Okay. John says I can hear you. Okay, great. Let me open up the chat in case I missed something. Test, hello, I can hear you. Okay, this is good. All right, so what else have we got here? So now there's 3 sets of chats to look at. So I guess that can be almost like the private chat in StreamYard, I guess, because no one else can really see it.
Well,
Let's see.
I'm seeing the little squares of us in both YouTube and the cafe.
Really? Okay, because I just see us in the corner.
In the cafe, we're up on the right side, up and down.
Yeah. Huh. All right, so let me see here. Looks like they used to have a presenter mode for Jitsi. It does look like they used to have one like that. Let me see here. Not to compromise, retracted the message, probably because I'm embarrassing with my use of tech. Ascender says, is it wise to start with just the fixed parts of Typica if you're brand new to doing it? You can, but I don't recommend it because then people will start getting used to just saying it without the fixed parts, and that's not a good idea. Without the variable parts, and that's not a good idea. I'm an old timer Orthodox. I did more or less still, but as the church wore carpet that was pulled out from under my feet. Very true. Welcome to being judged by the world and mainstream religion as a fanatic. True, lol. Read it, not me. Zlitoy, blessings.
Hey, Father
Please.
Joseph, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hold on. Is that you, John?
Yes.
Okay. How are you doing? What's going on?
Nothing much. I just wanted to you probably remember me. You know, it's been a long time, but we used to do some streams together, remember?
Wait, you mean John True Orthodox John?
Yeah, but I'm not I'm going back to the Rokor.
Why?
Sorry?
Why? I thought you went back to the GOC.
No, I was thinking about like going back to the GOC Canonicals, but
Yeah.
yeah, from Matthewism, but I still believe like, true Orthodox are Orthodox Christians, of course, the majority of synods, but I realized that, every true Orthodox synod, or at least in regards to the Greek Old Calendarists, they all have their inconsistencies, they all have their problems. And I think this idea, although I do think they hold to a canonical position somewhat, I think this idea of like gracelessness, there is no grace in world orthodoxy, which kind of like that idea prevented me from going to church or, kind of killed my spiritual life. Is
but there was a GOC Clinical Church near you that was you were going to that. What happened?
Yeah, so the problem with the GOC Kalinikos is that it's very like contradictory. It's very inconsistent. I mean, I still believe that they're Orthodox Christians. It's just that, how do I say it? Like their positions, their history is very like inconsistent. If I were to join an old calendar synod, the Matthewites are much more consistent than them. But obviously the Matthewites have their own problems as well. So it kind of puts you in this dilemma.
But wasn't this like, I mean, this is all stuff from like 2 years ago. I thought you kind of settled this and had gone back to the GOC 2 years ago.
No, I didn't. I said I was, thinking about going back. Then, like, these past like 2 years, I was kind of like left without a church because of like the old calendarism and, making excuse and a lot of other like stuff I don't want to, really get into. But glory to God, I'm going back to the Rokor parish that
Do
I
you
was
have a
going through prior.
cold?
Sorry?
Do you have a cold?
I'm a little bit congested, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we all are, I guess.
Yeah.
But what is your motivation in going back to the Rokor MP? Like, I am curious, like, what precisely is pushing? Because that you're doing that. Obviously, it's kind of for a recognition of the rest of world Orthodoxy, including like
Yeah.
the Greek Archdiocese with its blessing Hindu statues. I mean, the problems have gotten worse, not better, in the past 2 years. So I'm not sure how you come to a conclusion that going back is more positive.
Well, one thing I would say is this, right? Firstly, and I think all of us do have faith to some degree, right? I think all of us have.
No, I don't agree. I don't think that Roman Catholics have the true faith.
No, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
think
no, no.
that.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about us as Orthodox Christians. Like before reasoning, to some degree, us Orthodox Christians, we do have an aspect of faith in everything we believe in. Correct?
Yes, of course. The
Okay, good.
Orthodox faith. Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about the Orthodox faith. I'm not talking about Roman Catholics. I'm talking about us Orthodox Christians, us Eastern Orthodox Christians who hold to the Holy Seven Ecumenical Councils. That's what I'm
Okay,
talking
but
about.
right, but then Antioch and Alexandria are okay if you're in communion, as is the OCA, are okay if you're in communion with churches that only hold to the first three ecumenical councils.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that, but the reason I bring up this point is because first, when I was in ROCOR, I can't deny that I felt grace in the ROCOR. Now, you could say like, oh, that's subjective and everything,
Kind of
but
is,
I
yeah.
cannot deny. But I cannot deny the personal, like, first of all, like ultimately for me, it's a spiritual reason, right? I can't deny like the grace I felt in ROCOR that I'm feeling now and I felt before I joined the GOCK. That's the primary reason, but then I can get into the theological reasons. Like for example, the Florinites, who I do
Well,
believe are
before, well, I
yeah.
mean, I do want to touch on this because what you're doing is you're making spiritual feelings your primary driver for determining where the church is.
Well,
Uh,
no, I can. Well, no, I mean for like all Orthodox Christians. I mean, I'm not talking about prelest, but I saw like how because when I had joined the GOC, and this is just me being honest, right? When I had joined the GOC, even when I was in ROCOR, I held on. I was like very extreme, right? And I thought I could find justification for that extremism in the GOC, which
what
then
do you
led me
mean?
into like, well,
What do you
I'll
mean by
explain it.
extremism? Yeah.
Like extremism, like hardcore rigorism, like legalism, you know?
Uh huh.
Yeah,
I'm
so
listening.
I realized now obviously like adherence to the canons, adherence to the laws of scripture and the laws of the holy fathers, that's important, right?
Uh huh.
But my problem, and this is my personal problem, is that when I had joined the GOC, unlike many of the people who were in the GOC who actually, were growing spiritually and everything, I had joined it to like kind of justify my legalism and not to ultimately to get closer with Christ, which led me to like a purity spiral. And once I got to like the Matthewites, and then I was inquiring back into the GOCK, which I was chrismated into in 2022, I believe. Yeah, 2022. I realized that I probably made a mistake on the way, and it really like it spiritually KO'd me, and I started going back to the ROCOR. Now I can get into like the theological reasons because I'm not making it purely just based on my personal feelings. I
Well,
can get
yeah, I
into
know,
the
but the reason I ask this is because I've been actually getting towards putting up some of those old episodes that we took down, and in reviewing them, I mean, I feel like a lot of it was emotional. But more importantly, like we're using a lot of interesting terms, like purity spiral, so on and so forth. But here's what we're not getting to. What we're not getting to is most people who are true Orthodox out of conscience. We are true Orthodox because we know that we can't be in communion with the Roman Catholics. We can't be in communion with the Copts. We can't be in communion with the Syriacs. We see these things happening, and we put a stop to it at the very least in our own lives by finding bishops who don't do that. So,
yeah, but the
my
problem with
question
that, yeah, but the problem with that is that even when you get into the Florinites, right? I would ultimately say that if you were to
what's a
affirm the
Florinite?
A
What's a
Florinite,
Florinite?
I would say a Florinite is someone who has their succession from Akakios Papas, and for the most part affirms what Chrysostomos of Florina's Ecclesiology, which by the way is very vague.
Okay, so you're saying basically anyone who descends from a Archbishop Akakios Papas is what would be called a Florinite.
Yeah, and they would obviously each one of the synods that ultimately descends from him,
Uh
they
huh.
would ultimately to some degree for their ecclesiological views now,
Uh
they
huh.
would appeal to Chrysostomos of Florina. But among these synods, which by the way for them it is a confession of faith, it's not just the difference between Acravi and Economia, even the book of eight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm gonna
yeah,
skip
yeah.
that. Well,
Even
let's
even
wait, John. Let's skip the fancy words. Are any of those Greek synods going to commemorate with the Copts and the Syriacs?
or and well, we don't know. I mean,
No, the
even the
answer is
Maccabi.
no, John. John, the answer is no.
Well, I mean, even the Macario
No,
Synod. One
I'm.
second, the Macario were yes or no? Because you've even done a couple of episodes on Hakna.
Mhm.
Was the Macario Synod not in communion with name worshippers and heretics at one point?
We're not talking about name worshippers. We're talking about the Copts.
Okay, but they're both heretics, right?
You can't. Okay, but here's my point. I'm not. I'm okay with talking about individual issues within the GOC when you're talking about heresy, like in Yugoslavia. I've always been okay with that. But then to jump on and say, well, that's a perfectly good justification to unite with 1,500-year heretics. I mean, they're incomparable.
I mean, when you say it's incomparable, all you're saying is that, oh, this is more of a heresy or there's more adherence to this heresy. But at the end of the day, the
More
argument,
obviously a
okay,
heresy.
it's more obviously a heresy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter, because if the entire argument is getting into communion with heretics, then you would have to not only condemn the Macario Synod, but you would also have to condemn many of the Matthewite synods who, by the way, in their 2005 encyclicals, explicitly said that the church does not have a divine nature, from Gregorios of Messenia.
Okay, well, first off, I don't think all the Matthewites hold to that position. You just mentioned that was Gregory of Messenia, which is a small part of the Matthewites. And if he did say that, he's not only in error, he's potentially heretical. Even if you're talking about the Macario Synod and the Yugoslavia is gone now, the point is you cannot compare this to a wanton policy of intercommunion with Monophysite heretics, with papists, with blessing Hindu statues and Hindu
I mean, yeah,
temples as late as
individual.
last year.
I mean, I one second, I agree. I 100% agree with you that what those bishops are doing and what they're advocating for are heretical. But let me get a point in here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Saint Mark of Ephesus, right?
Yep.
Even with Saint Mark of Ephesus, whom the true Orthodox love to appeal to as a justification for their ecclesiology,
Uh-huh.
yes, he did cut communion
Yep.
with many of the bishops who went into communion with Rome, right? Who signed
Uh-huh.
the pseudo council of Ferrer Florence,
Right.
but he never once denied. He never once said that they were completely outside of the church and that they were completely graceless, which to this day true Orthodox fight amongst themselves and condemn each other as heretics on this very issue.
I don't know any. First off, I talked to a lot of different true Orthodox across jurisdictions. I think you remember that when you co-hosted with me on those shows in 2022, and we did not refer to each other constantly as graceless heretics.
That's what
Um,
the Matthewites say.
well, I've never met any Matthewites who act like that towards me, so I don't have that problem.
Well, no,
Um,
I'm talking about on an official level. Each Matthewite synod, whether it be under Stephanos, which by the way is the more moderate synod,
uh-huh.
or right now under Cosmas, because you're probably aware that recently in the Gregorian synod, that was descended from Gregorios of Messenia,
Messenia, yep,
Messenia. Yeah, my bad for the pronunciation.
not a
They
problem.
had another schism this year.
Well, okay, so let me see if I understand this correctly. You're basically arguing that from an official position, the some of the true Orthodox treat each other that way in terms of being graceless heretics. Now,
Even the Florinites.
can you name officially any World Orthodox jurisdiction that recognizes the mysteries of the true Orthodox?
Officially?
Yep.
Well, what's your standard for that which is official? First, we got to ground that
Like from a bishop with his signature.
from like an encyclical.
Like anything referencing us.
I mean, you can look at. I mean, I'm part of ROCOR. I mean, you can look at the ROCOR documents
Okay,
from the
we're
past.
not talking about ROCOR because obviously ROCOR is going to be inconsistent. You want it to be in communion with the rest of World Orthodoxy. Please show me something from the rest of World Orthodoxy that doesn't treat us in the exact same way.
Yeah, I mean, even and you might disagree with him, but even Metropolitan Cyprian of the Cyprianites, he actually wrote a PDF on what canonicity means, and he actually cites the Archbishop of Athens from the New Calendar. So I can get it for you right now. He actually cites a document from the Archbishop of Athens, whose name I
Which
forgot from
Archbishop of
in
Athens?
1955. I could pull up the
Okay,
PDF for a
I'm
second.
talking about now.
Sorry?
You're talking about you can't talk about us now and then talk about world orthodoxy with X cherry picked item from 1955.
I'm not the one who did it. Unless you just want to say that his methodology was wrong, he's the one who did it.
Yeah, his methodology was wrong. So
Okay, great.
the point is, it's wildly inconsistent. All I can say is this: that in most cases, now I'd say 7 out of 10 cases, including the GOZ Kalinikos when you were a part of them, the overwhelming majority of the people you were in communion with did not condemn each other. You were in communion with people all over the world, just as we are in communion with different people all over the world. We don't generally sit here condemning each other, but most importantly, none of us recognize Copts, Monophysites, Syriacs, Roman Catholics as part of the church. That's not our official teaching.
Well, actually, I mean, one second. When you bring up the Florinites and not condemning each other, so about the controversy that Archbishop Seraphim of Chicago had with Archbishop Maxentius, which, by the way, Archbishop Seraphim of Chicago, as we both know, actually was one of the starters of the Florinite
As I
controversy.
learned, I'm fairly certain somebody corrected me on that and actually pointed out that it's been, I think, proven that letter from Seraphim to Maxentius was a forgery.
I mean, yeah, someone could have said that. I mean, it doesn't mean it's a forgery. It's exactly what the Monophysites say when they just basically say that, when
You
St.
can't
Emperor
say
Justinian.
all of Chalcedon is a forgery.
Well, no, that's not what the Monophysites say in regards to St. Emperor Justinian. They say that when he cites, for example, Dioscorus' letter from Gangros Alexandria, that, they basically say it's a forgery because they don't like it. I mean, I would like to see some evidence that it is.
Okay, are you trying to say then that the Monophysites simply dismiss everything that they don't agree with as forgery, or
I mean, yeah, and that's what some true Orthodox do as well. When you show them
well, yeah,
documents
aren't you doing the same thing when you're denying the fact that you're in total communion with the Monophysites and Roman Catholics?
Well, I'm not in communion with them.
Of course you are.
Show me where I'm in communion with them.
You joined the Rokor Moscow Patriarchate, which signed on to many of those deals through the WCC and is in formal communion with the people doing it.
Well, first of all, they could be part of the WCC. Have you read the book Crisis in Byzantium?
Yeah, I've read parts of the book. I know what you're referring to, but it's not really relevant. You're using isolated, cherry-picked historical examples to justify
No. I'm
wanton
not
and
talking
willful
about.
things.
I'm not talking about historical examples from like the time of the Council of Blackernay at that time. I'm not talking about that.
Uh-huh.
It actually gives us a good light as to what's going on. Yes, there are ecumenical bishops. I 100% agree with you on that. But it
No.
gives
Stop.
us.
Wait, John. I want you to stop on that because that's like such a what's the word I'm looking for? Such an Orthodox ethos talking point to say, yes, I admit some bishops in Orthodoxy or World Orthodoxy are heretics. That's not reality. Reality is that the overwhelming majority of bishops in your synods are ecumenical heretics.
Not in Rokor.
I said in your synods, in
but
your
I'm in.
communion.
Yes, but I'm in Rokor. They could be.
And what is Rokor part of?
Sorry?
What is Rokor MP
Yeah,
part
they
of?
could be in communion with them, but they're not my specific synod. Those
Well,
other synods you're referring to.
is Rokor part of the Moscow Patriarchate now?
I mean, yes, they're under them.
Okay. And the Moscow Patriarchate is still majority ecumenist, including
Yeah,
the
they could be majority ecumenist, but that's not the official dogmatic position of that jurisdiction. Again, a schism, one second, let me just say one thing here. You have to make a difference here. Throughout church history, there has always been in every jurisdiction, and I can even give an example of this from St. Gregory Nazianzus. There's always been heretical bishops or, fraudulent bishops in every jurisdiction, right? There isn't a splitting of jurisdiction just because some bishops, right, hold to a heretical position. It's when a jurisdiction officially and dogmatically holds to such a position that it becomes that a schism occurs, right? And you
Right.
cannot show me, and even within the Moscow Patriarchate, even if I were to grant you that 99% of them are ecumenist, if it was the dogmatic stance of the Moscow Patriarchate, then there wouldn't be people within the Moscow Patriarchate who are anti-ecumenist. It's not a dogmatic position.
Right. I understand that the Moscow Patriarchate doesn't believe that ecumenism is a dogmatic position. But, John, I mean, when you were arguing, the various Matthewite groups 2 years ago, the various Matthewite positions,
And
and
by the
then
way,
you
are the
talked
most
about,
consistent of all the
oh,
true Orthodox. They're the most consistent.
and honestly, if you had stayed with them, I would have just been like, okay, well, that was his choice, very nice, whatever. But like, you don't even sound. I don't think you even sound convincing to yourself with this. I mean, it doesn't. You really can't possibly be trying to argue that ecumenism is being defeated in world orthodoxy when we know it's being blessed. I mean, that's crazy.
Not on a dogmatic level. Again, even prior to all of the ecumenism that occurred in the 20th century, there has always been problematic bishops. That does not mean that the bishops that are
Okay,
under that jurisdiction, that's their official position.
what
And by
about
the way,
what about the joint statements between the patriarchates of Antioch with the Monophysites and Alexandria? These are not individual bad bishops. This is synodal policy.
I mean, even within Antioch, if that really was the quote unquote dogmatic position of Antioch, you wouldn't have priests and bishops within Antioch who are fighting this. Again, a joint declaration is
But
not
there
their
aren't
dogmatic confession of faith.
priests and bishops fighting it. That's the official position
I've
of their
seen
church.
no, I've seen it. I know priests in Antioch who could condemn it. I've know bishops in Antioch who condemn it.
Well, I'd say that they're not in obedience to their greater synod in their home countries then. But no, that's the official position.
That's not the
Um,
official position. You can
it,
be within the Church of Antioch, even, how about this? As I said with the Moscow Patriarchate,
mhm.
even if 99% of them are alluding to this, right? Just for the sake of argument, which by the way, it's not even 99%, but exaggerating for the sake of argument, right?
Well, I'm okay. First
That's
off,
not
I'm not talking about personal statements. I'm talking about the 1991 agreed statement. I'm talking about the 1990 agreed statement.
which by
That you-
which by which by the which by the way, yes, to some degree was a justification for communion between them. But in 2010 and forward, actually, I talked to many priests and clerics within the Church of Antioch. It was actually abrogated and annulled, and they took a more strict position.
Somebody in the chat asks, Father Joseph, do you think it's a bad idea to join the Matthewites? I would certainly recommend it over what John's doing. No offense, John. But in any case, no. I think that's not it's if they're doing joint concelebrations and joint communion, and you're saying, oh, that's not their policy when it clearly and obviously is. I'm not sure how you can justify that. I mean, that
I'm
just
not
sounds like you're
justifying it. I'm
saying,
saying it's wrong. What I'm not saying, one second, what I'm not saying is that because, again, if you look at every schism, every major schism in the church, right?
yep,
And this is how many true Orthodox treat the schism between us and them, right? Which, by the way, even St. Philaret, he says it's more of a schismatic situation. We'll get into
that's not what
what.
St. Philaret said. I have his letter to Abbess Magdalena right here. He called the OCA flat out a Sepulite. See, I mean, that's misrepresenting St. Philaret.
Well,
You can't
one
even
second.
call him a saint because none of your synods glorified him.
Well, first of all, the Jordanville Monastery, which is now under the Roquefort MP, they actually do have a personal veneration of St. Philaret, and he's close to being
Of
canonized
course
within
they do. His
Roquefort.
body was incorrupt there. They found out his body was incorrupt
Yeah,
when
of
Loris
course.
tried to rebury him.
Of course. Yeah, of course. We're about. So yes, of course. He's on his way to being canonized within the
No,
Roquefort
he's
MP.
not. They're
Yes,
never
he
going to
is.
do that. As soon as they release his letters, it's not going to happen. I mean, this is kind of silly. It's the same thing that happened with what was
His letters. Oh, one second. His letters. One second. His letters are not hidden. You can read most of his works online.
I know, and that's why when you say, "Oh, Saint Philaret didn't think this," I know
And
you're
by
lying.
and by the way,
And the term
I've
is
actually
lying.
and by the way, when it comes to the OCA, I just want to make one point on this.
Uh
When
huh.
it comes to the OCA,
Yep.
in regards to the OCA, I actually have the synod where the Roquefort condemned the OCA in 1971, and their main premise of condemning them was the fact that they were recognizing the fact that the Moscow Patriarchate,
They were
because
recognizing
originally,
the autocephaly of the Moscow
yes,
Patriarchate. However,
they were condemning the fact that in that context, the Moscow Patriarchate had no canonical, well, because they were still Sergianists at the time, but they had no canonical right to grant autocephaly. I agree with that. That doesn't contradict what I'm saying.
well, yeah, but more importantly, they had already been seen as schismatic since 1946 with the Cleveland Sabor.
I mean,
So you're wrong. It's just you're
but
wrong.
even within ROCOR, and even Father Seraphim Rose writes about this, even within ROCOR, there was a divided position amongst the status of the Moscow Patriarchate. I don't think any true Orthodox denies this.
Well, I would say that there might have been some division among some members of the synod. Yes, I would say that, but I would say that it was much more in the minority than you realize, and it was less so the Moscow Patriarchate as it was the jurisdictions that had joined them, such as the Greek Archdiocese, Constantinople. John MC asks, "Who is this person who called up to give you a lecture? Give us a lecture?" John actually was a young man who joined the GOC in 2022, went on a fabulous journey trying to find out. I guess I thought he went through different Matthewite groups, and I understood you had written me like later on that year and said you had gone back to the GOCK because it was near your house and you just wanted to go to a church. But now you're in the ROCOR MP. I don't know how that happened. I
Yeah,
feel like
because the Florinites, and I'd love to talk about the Florinites with you.
well, I don't think you have a right to talk about the Florinites until you address the official justification of joining in communion with heresy. Until you do that, you don't have a leg to stand on and talk about any Florinites.
Even according to the Florinites, they were in communion with heretics.
Prove it.
Okay, great. So I have a question. According to the book Struggle Against
I said
Ecumenism,
prove it, not
I'm
ask
gonna
me a
prove
question.
I'm gonna prove it to you right now. All right. I'm
Sure.
having a discussion with you. All right.
Uh-huh.
So according to many people within the GOC, right? Because the argument is this, right? Is that I'm in communion with bishops who preach heresy, right? That's the point of contention.
Well, that
right?
would be that's the overarching premise, but you have to deal with all the proofs that that's true, and we know those proofs, which is how we know it's true.
Okay, great. So I have a question. So according to many throughout the history of the Florinite Church, right? Did they not have many bishops who consistently said that they explicitly said this, to deem the new calendar as church and all of world orthodoxy as graceless is heresy? Did they not argue that? Many of them.
No.
Oh, so when Chrysostomos of Florina argues in his 1947 encyclical,
Yeah, okay.
yes, in his 1947 encyclical, that the Matthewites are graceless on the basis that they reject the mother church as being the treasure of divine grace. How do you answer that?
He was wrong. The Matthewites were right. That's how I answer that. And he realized that 3 years later in 1950 when he put in the declaration that in fact the state church was graceless. So,
Yes, which by
so
the
he
way
was right.
wasn't
That's called admitting you're wrong.
one second, which by the way wasn't even consistently practiced by the Florinites, because the Committee of 12 priests, who by the way Chrysostomos of Florina told them to go join the Matthewites, instead many of them, including Petrus of Astoria, went to the United States, and Petrus of Astoria combated the 1971 encyclical, I believe, that repeated the 1950 encyclical, and many of the Florinites sided with Petrus of Astoria, including the ROCOR. So again, inconsistency, and it is a confession of faith.
Well, I would argue that in the 1970s, the ROCOR question was not as clear, but after 1983, with the anathema against ecumenism, there was no official way to say that you could be with the World Orthodox. But more importantly, the fact that they did not address it officially before 1983 doesn't take away from the fact that they did formally break communion with virtually every World Orthodox group on earth.
Besides Jerusalem, one second. Besides Jerusalem and Serbia, and even during the 1960s, I believe after 1967, there's an article about this called Russia, the ROCOR, right, the Russian Orthodox Church abroad, as a de facto autocephalous church. It mentions that the times that the Rokor had quote unquote broken communion with the Serbian and Jerusalem Patriarchate was in as much as a breaking of commemoration, while there was still technically a communion between them. And guess what? This is exactly what St. Gregory Palamas did when he stopped commemorating the Latinizing Patriarch of Constantinople, but didn't condemn them as a separate graceless church.
Well, the Latinizing Patriarch of Constantinople was eventually replaced within a lifetime, but that's beside the point. What we're getting at is that you're making a lot of blanket claims, such as what you just did with Jerusalem and Serbia, over.
I can send you it right now.
And of what value would it be? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen your article. Because what we do know is that up until very recently, since we started becoming more vocal as true Orthodox, people claim that Rokor was always in communion with Serbia and Jerusalem, and that's a lie. And so the point is that it's like, here's what I feel like this feels like to me. It feels like you're kind of trying to repair bad talking points in the world Orthodox narrative towards us. And I think that that's not going to work out very well for you long term. I understand that, you kind of want to kind of make sense of this, etc.
We all kind of make sense of this. We
lost Father Simeon. Anyway, but the point is, I still have who's this? Is this Father Boniface? I think it might be.
Yeah,
maybe.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. That's just fine. All right.
Yeah, the orange one. Yeah.
All right.
Benedicite.
Anyway, so the point is, John, I think that, while you're trying to come in hard here on the minor infractions you can find and the vagaries of some true Orthodox in the 1970s, whether you're talking about Greeks or Russians, that none of it...
Well, no, I'm talking about all their history, not just...
Right,
the 70s is a great example, but I'm talking
all
about
their
throughout their entire history.
You can't talk about their entire history, because their entire history is 100 years. You've been talking about 2 and 3 year periods within this 100 years, and you've maybe touched upon 6 or 7 of them tops. But the point is that in reality, you still are not dealing, and it seems to be ignoring. It's that whole straining the gnat while swallowing the camel thing. You're ignoring the fact that you're in communion with people who are in Eucharistic communion with monophysites.
But they're not.
But they are.
No, they're not. Yes, there has been, which by the way has been fought by many of the clerics. Yes, there has been joint...
Name 3 clerics that have fought in Antioch against the official Antiochian position, and I'll eat my words. Name 3 priests.
3 priests?
Yep.
Oh, very simple. Father Josiah Trenham. I don't... What's the other guy's name?
Where has Father Josiah Trenham ever fought against the idea that you can have a mixed marriage with the monophysites, etc.? That's all official documents of Antioch. To show me one video, one statement, one website, one recorded piece of information where Father Josiah Trenham said what the synod did was inappropriate. Sure.
Yeah, sure. I can show you where he says he would never permit people outside of the Orthodox Church to, participate in the sacraments, including marriage. I mean, it's not like a controversial thing.
Okay, no. You see, you're moving the goalposts. You're saying he said that he would never let somebody contract the mysteries that is outside the Orthodox Church. The whole point of those union documents is that they consider the monophysites to be inside the Orthodox Church. So Father Trenham could say that with a completely clear conscience while still communing monophysites. So that's absolutely...
You wouldn't. Yeah, sure. I can bring it up right now. But anyways, even...
Okay, bring it up right now.
All right, sure.
We'll wait. In any case, I'm sure that he'll get something that talks about no union with the heterodox, not dealing with the fact that these statements in Antioch, the Damascus statement and the Addis Ababa statement, consider them both orthodox. So, Ascender asks, so as Monk Simeon says, Rokor is in communion with World Orthodoxy, who are also in communion with Oriental Orthodoxy, correct? Jeremy, I hope we answer some questions here. Ascender, so as a true Orthodox sympathizer at this point with no true Orthodox community in my area, is it normal to be weary of the jurisdictional politics? I personally am very weary of it. And I think personally, what ends up happening is when you get too involved in the jurisdictional politics, it ends up sending you down a dark place, which we'll talk more about when John comes back.
Yeah, I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it up right now, but I would just like to add
if
that
you can send a link in the chat, that way we can. I mean, in like the Jitsi chat, so that we can see it, because I'll pull it up on the screen. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to find it right now, but
okay, so we're back. I think. Yeah, there's a lot of buffering. Sorry about that, folks. Hopefully we get that fixed within the next minute or two. I think it should be. It's going to take a little bit though, and so yeah, let's see here. I'm going to share this back on the screen. Hold on. Okay, let me see if that's back. Looks like we're back, folks. So this is good. Not sure why the chat has disappeared, but I'm going to try to see if I can fix that as well. Give me a moment, and let's get that back on and see what we can get working. Okay, so yeah, so we're back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Reader John is in the house, so we're gonna pin him on as well. And so let's see here. Okay, so we're back with John, pinning him on as well. And all right, so we're back, and we're trying to put everyone back on. So and get this. Let's see if we can figure out why that's not going. Okay. So anyway, all right. So hopefully, let's see. Yeah, I think we got it fixed. All right. Somebody also has their YouTube. That might have a YouTube channel on with the volume. You want to kill that if you are on the stream. Okay. So let's take a look here. And all right. So John, if you want to send me that link so we can analyze what you've got here to make your claim.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you give us the link in the Jitsi chat so we can look at the document you're claiming? Hello? Okay. Have I disconnected or something? Is everyone still here?
Hello?
Yeah, you're still here.
Oh, my bad. I thought I cut out. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm getting it right now. I do have one thing from a Coptic. I don't have everything ready on me right now. I do have one thing from a Coptic website that
You
even
can't use a
says that
Coptic website.
what? So if the Coptics themselves say we're not in Eucharistic communion with
Nope.
them, you won't accept that?
No, they're 1,500-year heretics. Why would I believe them?
What? So if they said on their website that we're not in communion with the Eastern Orthodox, you're just going
Why?
to believe that?
If your website, your Antiochian Chalcedonian quote unquote website says so, then yes, I am, because they clearly officially still believe they are in communion with them.
Okay, wait.
Didn't
So
they
according to you,
persecute
both
him?
of them.
for
One
that
second.
Josiah Trenum.
According to you, they're both heretics, right? So if the Coptics say they're not in communion with the Antiochians, you're not going to accept that because they're heretics. But if the Antiochians say they're not in communion with them on their website, you'll say, "Oh yeah, fine, I'll accept that." But according to you, they're both heretics. You're being inconsistent.
No, the reason I'm being inconsistent is for the same reason that I don't debate with cops online unless it's a priest. They are willing to put lay people on who will lie and make up anything to get their point across and will not refer to official documents, which, by the way, you are also doing. And this is part of the reason why I take official documents far more, what's the word I'm looking for? Honestly.
Official does not mean dogmatic.
It does if it's dogmatic in nature.
No.
Yes.
No. Just because. Just because there's a document that says that, oh, this is quote unquote dogmatic doesn't mean it's dogmatic.
Okay, so wait a second. If a document officially says that we both recognize that we are both the church, even though we recognize a different number of councils, that is not dogmatic.
That is not dogmatic, and I
That's
will explain why.
That's a terrible no.
Can I explain why?
Okay,
Can I explain why?
Sure. Was the typos of the monothelites dogmatic? I mean, eventually you start getting this gets ridiculous.
All right, great. So I'll explain why it's not dogmatic.
We gotta,
right?
Sure.
So even
Could I say something?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Where is the Josiah Trenum video? You haven't brought it up yet. So are we trying to duck that issue because you can't find your evidence, or what?
I mean, I don't have it ready on me. I can try to find it, but as of right
Well,
now,
you said
one
you
second.
had it.
As of right now, one second. As of right now, because it doesn't even really matter if he said. I mean, I do know that he is against it, and I can pull it up
Well, it
later.
mattered
But
5
as of
minutes
right
ago.
now, but as of right now, I'll quote unquote concede on it because it doesn't even matter. Because I've
Well,
spoken
do you have
to
another
Antiochian priests.
Antiochian priest? Do you
I
have
mean,
any
I've
other
taught
Antiochian?
not ones that have YouTube channels, but I've talked to ones personally who have told me.
Have you? Okay, so in other words, you have anecdotal evidence that has nothing to do with their official position.
I mean, first of all, a lot
And
of like 1
so
second.
therefore, your point is lost.
Sorry,
Your point is lost.
it's not
Therefore,
lost, and I'm going to
you
explain
Didn't they
can't
why.
bring the
persecute a
evidence up,
priest
so your point
recently?
is lost.
All right.
Didn't they persecute a priest recently for rejecting
Matthew
the?
Volcanescu, have the
You think?
Father Matthew Volcanescu case. Yeah, that was
Yes.
this year.
Yep.
All right, so are you guys going to allow me to speak real quick?
Well,
Because I was
just
going to explain.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
all
gonna,
you're spouting out is delusion. So
It's
I
not
mean, unless you can
delusion.
actually say facts, that'd be great.
yeah. So
You're taking
all
up
right.
a lot of space, that's for sure.
There's a lot of hot
Because he
air
asked me
coming
a
out.
question. So first of all, we have
Yeah.
ecumenical council. 1 second. So we have ecumenical councils. We have pan-Orthodox councils that
Uh-huh.
condemn the Monophysites as heretics. Are we in agreement with that?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So even if the Antiochian bishops, even if they were, and by the way, it's when it comes to a schism, if you look at every schism with the Monophysites, with the Nestorians, and with the Papists, especially with the Papists, in fact, it wasn't even fully formalized until the Council of Florence with St. Mark of Ephesus, right? Because there were still some Orthodox jurisdictions that were in communion with Papists up until that point,
It
right?
was fixed in the Council of 1448.
All right.
Yes,
So
I know. Yes, I know. So what I'm
So-
trying to
so-
say is this: is that even if I were to grant that all of the Antiochian bishops, for the sake of argument, right? Even if I were to grant that all of them did this, it still wouldn't be dogmatic upon them because one, when it comes to something like this something like this isn't just
Okay.
the result. 1
all
second.
right. So
Isn't just
John,
resolved.
can I ask you a question, buddy?
Yeah.
So would you say any of the modern monophysite or miaphysite, whatever word you want to use,
They're
synods
Monophysites.
are sure? And wouldn't you say they're heretical?
Yeah, I believe that they're all Monophysite
Okay.
heretics and
All right.
graceless.
So why do the Antiochians have joint meetings? Their synod meets with the Monophysite synods,
Yes,
Every
I'm
year.
very
and
aware.
just so why would we, as Orthodox, meet with heretics?
Well, I would say
That wouldn't make us Orthodox, would it?
Well, 1 second. I would say, like, yes, what those bishops are doing is not orthodox, but I can explain
Are the bishops
because
not part of the
1
church?
second, 1 second. Can I please go? I want to have a discussion here. All right, you guys are like all like interrupting me and trying to dogpile me. Listen,
You're
I can
not
explain all
doing a
of this.
very good job, John. I'm going to be honest with you. You were much better when you were a Matthewite.
All right. Because you know what the problem with this is? The problem with this is that you guys don't want to talk about, the multiple things that have happened within true Orthodoxy because you guys are just like the Muslims in a lot of way and thinking you win by
Now
default.
you're
And
throwing the Muslim thing at us. Oh, come on.
All
Now
right,
you're
John.
I'm not
John,
saying I'm
John.
talking about the methodology. I believe you guys are
All right.
Orthodox Christians, but when you
What
guys take this
methodology?
position,
No.
the
Hold on.
methodology, the methodology of of not having to explain any of the inconsistencies which many true
Let me
Orthodox
guess. The
look back at
patristic.
and say, let me finish, please. Which many of the true
Oh, hurry
Orthodox
up.
look back on and say this was heretical, right? You guys think you win by default and you don't have to explain everything.
It's
and
not
you
an
can just
issue of winning by default. They
It's
literally
not
put
winning.
out official documents saying that they recognize people who don't recognize the seven
This is-
ecumenical councils, and you are trying to dance around that.
John,
okay,
this is
great.
not
And
a.
it's not
This is not
dogmatic
a.
because it's not ecumenical. It's not
It's not a football
pan-Orthodox,
game. It's not winning.
ecumenical. It's not ecumenical. It's not pan-Orthodox. It's not binding.
All right. So obviously you listen to Father. No, hold on, Father.
This is a misunderstanding of Orthodox ecclesiology.
John.
Even there's been multiple. 1 second. Throughout church history,
Lord have mercy.
there has been multiple local synods that have said heretical things. Even the case with Saint Gregory Nazianzus, when his father, Saint Gregory Nazianzus the elder, officially signed a semi-Arian creed, the only people who broke communion with them was a group of monks, right? I believe it was Cappadocia around that time, and Saint Gregory at the time was a deacon. And even he tried to defend his father for a little bit, and said that although they were quote unquote the more fervent part of the church, in as much as the zeal and piety in Oration 1818, right? He didn't hold to this position that there were now two churches and one of them was justified and condemning the other as graceless. That's what you guys are doing.
Okay, thank you for over emotionally making a point. We're talking
you just made a
about
point.
you're talking about the case of Gregory Nazianzus and his father, who was an elder, versus people that have nothing to do with us, are in communion with each other, recognizing the Monophysites officially across two national jurisdictions that are spread throughout the world, and you're trying to say none of it's official because nothing. It's not because it's certainly not because they don't say so, because they sure seem to say so. It's because you don't say so.
No, it's because
you can't
local
even name,
synods.
and you can't. There's no the local synods said the very things we're talking about. So
okay, great. In local synod.
So you see, in other words, you can't be the judge. The synods speak for themselves. These churches speak for themselves. You can't be the judge of it all. What they say goes.
Yeah, look, that's why you're not going to find, unless you could find it for me, Father Josiah Trenum, you're not going to find him saying, this is wrong that my synod did this, because he's not going to, because he is under obedience to the synod.
Correct.
So I don't want to sit around and listen to one person's opinions about what all these other groups have already stated as policy. It's already stated, it's acted out, and that's the
message. And they're trying to draw closer
of it all.
I mean, in their speeches, they're trying to draw closer together. So they kind of it moots the point you're trying to make.
All right. So first of all, as laymen, because laymen do have a right to recognize if there's.
You broke up, John. You broke up.
1 second. I let you guys speak. Let me make one point.
Well, we're letting you know your internet's breaking up, dude. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Unfortunately.
So I want to make a couple points here, right? So first of all, with the example of Saint Gregory Nazianzus, his father, who was the head or the president of an entire jurisdiction, and the only people who broke communion with him were monks, right? Who are not of clerical status, of course. They're monks, they're monastics, they're tonsured. But he actually signed a semi-Arian declaration. And as we both know, just like monophysitism, semi-Arianism is also Christological heresy.
Well, point of clarification, by jurisdiction you mean diocese, right?
Yeah, diocese, exactly.
Okay.
He had judicial power over that diocese, right? And Saint Gregory Nazianzus actually, because at that time he was a deacon under his father, he actually defended his father. He recognized the validity on both sides, right? But in the midst of that, he still defended his father in Oration 1818, right? And even Cyprian,
and his father repented within 3 years. Nikolai Bauman says, my old Rokor and priest openly communed Oriental Orthodox and Arminians and never got in trouble. John doesn't even have to look to a different synod to find this problem. Suffering Orthodoxy only named one priest that is fighting from within. Also, what did Father Josiah even do to challenge his hierarchy? The answer so far is nothing. Okay, Monk Simeon says, John, you're simply justifying yourself. Lady, bow to the true teaching synods, not the other way around.
What methodology were you referring to earlier, so we can clarify that point? Are you trying to say it's the patristic methodology?
No,
I've heard somebody else.
I'm talking about in regards to the specific debate when I was trying to point out to Father Joseph Father Joseph. My bad. You're a priest now, right?
Yep.
Okay, Father Joseph, my bad. I'm sorry about that. When I was trying to speak to Father Joseph, right, about many of the things that throughout true Orthodox history, they condemned as heretical, but they were inconsistent among themselves in regards to this. He didn't really want to talk about that. He said, before you can even talk about that, you have to talk. It's kind of like what the Muslims say, right?
No,
like,
it's not.
You don't even have to talk about the Quran. You have to talk about Christianity.
I don't think that's a fair comparison. I don't think that's a fair comparison. Obviously, you don't understand Islam.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead,
Well, yeah, sure. I was going to say it's not an apples to apples comparison because what happens is Islam usually presents a caricature of Christianity to argue with. I'm not presenting a caricature at all. We're using the exact same standard. And if you're using the exact same standard, world orthodoxy is a complete mess that you don't want to admit to, but you point to squabbles between different groups of true Orthodox who are being persecuted by the world Orthodox.
Listen,
So it's a garbage argument.
Listen, and I'll say this openly. Every Orthodox jurisdiction.
Hey, John, can you address? Hey, John, hold on for it.
Well, I just want to make a point here.
Hold on. I know you want to make a point, but you are speaking to a priest, so please be more respectful.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
what was your point, John?
I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. I haven't said anything disrespectful. I'm just trying to get the point here. So first of all, every Orthodox jurisdiction, whether it be true Orthodox or world Orthodox, all of them, especially from the 20th century and onward, all of them have had inconsistencies, especially the Greek Old Calendars, and all of them have had quote unquote messes, right? That does not mean that all of a sudden this Orthodox church, this Orthodox jurisdiction, which let's say that they have been doing this for 30 years, it doesn't mean that automatically they become a separate Orthodox church. And the reason I bring this up, is because throughout Orthodoxy, right, with the example of St. Gregory Nazianzus the Elder, and also I can appeal to what St. Hilary of Poitiers says in regards to the Arian bishop Auxentius and his local synod, right, which actually Father Joseph appealed to in one of his videos to justify to Orthodox ecclesiology, but I read it in context, right?
So did I.
Yes, I know.
So then don't imply that I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't imply that you didn't. I just
yes, you did. You said I've read it. You did imply that, but that's
no. I said I read it in context.
Well,
I'm so sad right now.
John, before you go further, so what I'm seeing here is, do you realize history is messy for both true Orthodox and world Orthodox?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so when it comes down to it, we have to look at the homologia, the confession of faith, right?
Yes, of course. And dogmatically speaking, we do not have any dogmatically binding state declarations of faith, right? You can find local synods or local dioceses that have grievously erred and affirming something heretical or something ecumenistic. But you cannot show me one second. You cannot show me one official declaration from World Orthodoxy, one pan-Orthodox declaration where that is ecumenistic, Sergionistic, or modernistic in nature.
Where did ecumenism start?
Sorry?
Where did ecumenism start? Was it true Orthodoxy or World Orthodox?
I mean, ecumenism has been actually, been boiling up since the 19th century. It was just kind of instantiated through the calendar change in 1924.
Where?
In
Where
Greece.
did it start?
In Greece.
In Constantinople in 1920.
In Constantinople, more specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Greek
and
church.
Well, hold on. Where did Constantinople go with its ecumenism?
Yeah, and a lot of their bishops went down the road.
Who are you in communion with now?
Sorry?
Who are you in communion with now?
I mean,
World Orthodoxy.
on a clerical level, the Rokor and the Goarch are not really in communion on a clerical level. But even if they were,
for now.
But even if they were, again, this doesn't address the point that you can't demonstrate that on an official level. Goarch on an official level, on a dogmatic level, right? They're not ecumenistic. They have done very ecumenistic things that they need to repent of.
All right, John.
But they're not dogmatically ecumenist.
John, are any of the true Orthodox ecumenists?
According to some,
yes or no?
Yes or no, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Which true Orthodox are ecumenists?
Based on what, too? You got to cite your sources, buddy. And we lost you again. Well, we're checking connection.
I see he's moving, but we're not hearing anything.
We're not hearing anything.
Well, we're waiting for him to come back because something's wrong with his connection, I think. I'm not OC. Smart Urbanism says I'm not OC yet. However, wasn't the synod that instituted the calendar change considered pan-Orthodox? That was hotly debated in 1923. up until 2007, ROCOR and the True Orthodox never considered it.
And they didn't even call it a synod; they called it a congress.
Yeah, exactly. So,
my bad. Can you repeat what you said, Reader John? My internet cut out. I apologize.
What was the last thing you heard?
You were asking me about whether the True Orthodox, any of them are ecumenistic, and then you were talking and you cut out.
Okay, and then I asked you, or Father asked you which ones, and I asked you based on what? What's your source?
Yeah, of course. So I can appeal to Matthew White synods, right? And I know you guys don't like to. I know it's not like to be talked. People don't like to talk about them, but I can appeal to these True Orthodox synods.
I like talking about everybody.
Okay, great. Which Father Joseph even recognizes some of the Matthew White synods. I can ask them, and they will say that every other True Orthodox jurisdiction is ecumenist. I can go to the RTOC, right, under the Deaconites, and I can ask them, and they'll say that the Florinites, they're Cyprianites. The Calinicos, they're Cyprianites.
Yeah, but what you're just using polemics.
Yeah,
that's
but
polemics of one True Orthodox synod against another.
But it's all them against each other. So I don't even.
I got you. But what I'm saying is, World Orthodoxy actually practices ecumenism.
Great, and I can go.
And I'm talking about, and you're telling me True Orthodoxy does, but what you're telling me is you're citing polemics between True Orthodox synods.
Right.
Do you see the?
I mean.
Do you see the problem there?
Well, no, there is no problem there because
yes, there is. It's polemics.
Polemics against one another.
Yes, that's exactly what they are. But
they're true polemics. They cite their documents and they show
based on
why
what?
They believe that this.
Well,
one second. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Based on half truths, right? Sure.
No, not based on half truths. Based on official documents that the Florinites have of the new calendars, which they contradict themselves on 100 times, based on the Matthewites condemning each other, saying that, they are ecumenistic because they believe, in the 2005 encyclical of Gregory of Messenia, which is dogmatic for that synod, they condemned all the other Matthewite synods and all of World Orthodoxy and all the other True Orthodox synods as ecumenistic because they hold to the theology, the ecclesiology, that the unity of the church is based in the unity of the Trinity, which is ecumenical in nature. I can send you the scan if you'd like. He explicitly says this.
Okay, so here's my point. Let's just say that the Matthewites did say this, okay? Let's say the Messenians did say this. What is their proof that, say, the GOC Canonicos is currently ecumenist? What is their physical proof of events that demonstrate they are actually ecumenists? What is their proof that the RTOC is officially ecumenist? People can call each other names all day long, but I've pointed to the 1990 document. I've pointed to the 1991 Damascus document. These are official recognitions of people who have rejected the conciliar teaching of the church as Orthodox Christians. You would have to produce something of that level to say that these groups, because of these accusations, are ecumenist. If you can't do that,
I mean, John, I can accuse you of being a banana head, but is that true?
John?
I guess it's true. Oh, well.
Suffering Orthodoxy says, did it have any effect? Nope, still commuting monophysites, which is heretical. Rumpelstiltskin, John, read the 2016 Havana Agreement between Pope and Patriarch Kirill, your patriarch.
I apologize. My internet here is kind of bad. That's why I've been cutting out. But
we're reading comments. Patriarch Kirill literally agreed not to proselytize Roman Catholics. Nikolai says ROCOR and P and Goarch are an open clerical communion. Clerics openly celebrated with the ROCOR and DC Cathedral this Pascha with both bishops' blessing.
I was about to say you need to at St. John the Baptist Cathedral there in DC.
Yeah. Smart Urbanism asks if World Orthodox hasn't ever dogmatized heresy. Why should I break? My point and my argument and all of our argument is that they, in fact, have actually done so. The point is, Jonathan says Matthew has ruined this guy's thinking. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This stream has made me really, really sad so far, and I say that with a heavy heart. A lot of people asked about John after he left. They asked me personally, and I had very little knowledge. the last thing I had heard from you, John, back when you messaged me on Gab, was that you had gone back to the GOC.
I said I was
near your
thinking of
house.
going back. Yeah.
Well, yeah, next to your
John.
house or something. And the point is, that was the last thing I thought. So for all this time since we last spoke, I thought you were just happily in a GOC church playing soccer after church or something. And now I find this. I mean, it's disappointing.
All right. Well, I actually just want to answer the question, right? So you were asking me about, apart from like half truths, what do they actually cite? So, I mean, I can demonstrate this. In fact, even the entire book, Struggle Against Ecumenism, which many true Orthodox appeal to, the true Orthodox among themselves, they cite binding and authoritative documents from each other's synods and say that this is crypto-ecumenism.
Do you have the book?
Yeah, I do.
What page
I
is it?
get.
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I've read the book, but again, we're just getting into polemics again.
Yeah, I have the book in front of me.
I have the book.
Yeah.
Well, I have the book as well, and actually, I have a part from the book where it completely refutes the argument of the Floronites, because I've talked to many Floronites and many clerics would say this, that the status that the confession of faith in regards to the status of the new calendarists in terms of their grace, their sacramentology, etc. Yeah, here.
Page.
Because I can just read from it.
I'm getting the book from my bookshelf.
Okay,
Because
thank you.
I've been doing. Yep, I got it here.
While we're waiting, Father Simeon says, I'm beginning to believe this issue John has is more a personal issue with some interpersonal interaction he has had. John's falling away from Orthodoxy is sad. I will add, John, if this is because of me, if I did something that offended you, that brought you to this state, I'm so sorry. I don't know what else I can say.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So why Rocore MP out of?
I just want to clarify that I don't base what jurisdiction I'm joining based on how other people treat me. Because to be completely fair, like a lot of people within World Orthodoxy have treated me horribly, but it doesn't matter. What matters is what's the truth.
Hey John, why Rocore MP out of all the World Orthodox?
Rocore MP because I do think that they have a glorious history, because I've studied the history of.
Well, that's history as of 2007.
Yeah, I mean it was the church.
That's a different. There's a different Rocore. I mean, I can speak because I came out of Rocore MP.
I came out of Rocore MP and I went to the GOC, and then I was inspiring to the Matthewite. So I know a lot about the GOC and what they have to say about Rocore. And I know, trust me, I respect it. I do believe that.
But you do know the Rocore MP refers to those that you. I mean, I think I heard you earlier say that you have problems with, like gracelessness, being accused, like the true Orthodox accusing World Orthodox of gracelessness. Hold on. Rocore MP. Pretty much officially now calls everybody that's true Orthodox schismatics.
Not officially. I mean, I know, and you guys. Well, 1 second.
They teach it in the seminary, buddy. That's pretty much official.
No, first of all, I'd like to see that. Second, I mean, I'm just
go to Rocore Studies. Go to Rocore Studies, you'll see it.
Orthodox traditionalist publications comments they capitulated and turned back on their history. Smart Urbanism comments Rocore's the main reason I'm considering true Orthodoxy. Father Simeon says, John, how was your interactions with your local GOCK? Jonathan Britt says, in all seriousness, it's very sad indeed. I watched his streams where he was waking up to ecumenism and joined TO, and then spiraled into Matthewite thinking, and now full circle back into heretical World Orthodoxy. Orthoadjust says, keep on your journey, brother. And that's all the comments so far. Continue, sorry.
Yeah, so this is from, first of all, I'm going to cite a couple things from Struggle Against Ecumenism. And I'm not saying that you guys say this, but
what page?
This is page 110 when it speaks about the Callisto system, right?
110. Okay, so we're talking about the Callisto Synod. Okay.
Okay, great. So before I read this part, right, this is an answer to those, because there are many Floronites right, who say that a confession of faith, right, our view on the status of the new calendars or world orthodoxy is not actually confession of faith. This is what many clerics and many and many people who are theologically astute within the Florinites have told me. So this is just to quickly refute that, and then I'll get to other parts. All right, so here, let me read.
Be careful because you're conflating theology and history again.
I mean, ecclesiology from an Orthodox point of view, ecclesiology and theology are not divorced.
No. I said you're mixing. You're conflating the theology with the history. The history we already established is messy, right?
Yeah, I know it's messy, and I'm just trying to show that this refutes this idea that many Florinites are trying to spew now. That no, even though we're a kind of agnostic on the state of world orthodoxy, doesn't really matter because it's not a
It's a
confession.
blanket statement there. Many Florinites. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I can show you. I can show you where they're bishops. I can, and I even brought this up to Father Joseph Swayton, when we were talking about like the Matthewites and the Florinites. I showed where their bishops after the 2014 union, where many of their bishops issued like letters and books that are read in their seminaries, like for example the one in Etna, which I was actually back in 2022 inquiring to go into, but I showed him where many of them are still trying to justify Cyprianite ecclesiology, and they cite Saint Cyril of Kazan, Metropolitan Cyprian,
Well,
and
to be fair,
Chrysostom of Florina prior
if
to
I,
1950 to justify this.
if
But
I
here,
can
can I
be
just read the
fair,
page real quick?
go ahead. What?
Oh, can I just read the page real quick?
Right. And before anything, though, I do want to correct you on St. Cyril of Kazan. St. Cyril of Kazan, before the end of his life, actually said enough water has passed under this bridge. We can no longer recognize Sergius and his compatriots. So, just to clarify.
Yeah, and I do. Yeah, and I do admit that at one point, I would personally hold the view that at one point the Moscow Patriarchate was graceless. Yeah,
Still is.
yeah, of course.
He
But
just
they're not
admitted it is.
Sergianist. But the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. They're not Sergianist.
Okay, so basically, if we look on this page, this
All
is
right.
the dialogue between Metropolitan Callistos, Bishop Calliopius, and future Metropolitan Simeon, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So allow me to read the relevant part. Right. This is in regards to the Confession of Faith. So, and by the way, it's kind of funny how they appeal to Matthewite methodology here, right? As much as they like to, kind of, roll on the Matthewites. All right. So here, then the abbot then said, "Your Eminence, you don't have to go very far to ascertain this. There are three of you here. We know that you yourselves believe that there has been no sanctifying grace in the mysteries of the new calendars since 1924. We know Bishop Calapios." I'm sorry. Calliopios. I have a hard time pronouncing the name. I apologize. Believes the same as you do, but does Bishop Matthew agree? Of course he agrees, beloved Father. And by the way, this is before in page 109, where they said that. Of course we do, as if there were not enough factions in Greece. You have now added a new one. Furthermore, how can we offer our congratulations to you when we know for certain that, among many other things, you guys do not share the same confession of faith, alluding to the status of the new calendar. So they are identifying this as a confession of faith, and they ask. Then turning to Bishop Matthew, the abbot of the monastery, page 110, Your Eminence, do you believe that there is no grace in the mysteries of the new calendars? Well, according to the letter of 1937 written by Metropolitan Chrysostom of Florina, then they interrupted him. Your Eminence, excuse me, please forget about the 1937 letter. Interjected the abbot. Metropolitan Chrysostomos wrote that letter, and later in 1950 retracted it, which, by the way, the Florinites amongst themselves fight on whether this was a genuine contraction of faith, and this is also mentioned in the book.
But none of them actually really fight about it in terms of what it means. Everyone agrees.
And this is before 1965, and Patriarch Demetrius in 1970, when he celebrated with the Pope, was that 73?
Well,
Second one.
the specific page I'm reading from, right, is from
Mm-hmm.
1979. It says it at the beginning, and
Uh-huh.
also it's so this
Yeah,
dialogue
they're
occurred
going
at
over the
19.
history. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
But
so it occurred
yeah.
at 1979, and right now,
Uh-huh.
the Florinites amongst themselves on something which, according to their own sources, is a confession of faith, right? According to themselves, they fight each other on the status of world orthodoxy, which is a very important question because the Matthewites have a very good point in this, right? If world orthodoxy has fallen into heresy, is it not
Mm-hmm.
heretical to say that there's grace in heresy? Because when you're agnostic about our grace, you're implicitly saying that there's a possibility that even though these guys are heretical, they might have grace. But you would never say that about the Roman Catholics or Coptics. So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate. You guys are inconsistent amongst yourselves, and
Okay,
that's
so
why you
now let
guys.
me. But now I have to ask you a question because you are making an affirmative claim about us. The affirmative claim is that we are undecided on the question of whether world orthodoxy officially has grace. By the way, Niles Zanu, your comment about Radu's statement is actually, I would say that that's where we're living in right now, which is why all the true Orthodox around the world are having to deal with each other. But to get back to the question, can you please demonstrate where any true Orthodox synod right now is saying officially that the world Orthodox have grace?
The world Orthodox have grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, any true Orthodox.
First of all, I didn't.
Any one of them.
No him and Han. Is there any of them right now, at this very moment?
Yeah, sure. The GOCK, they don't have an official document condemning us. They have some, but they
They
contradict them all
well,
the time.
actually, no. The union document specifically says that the world Orthodox are not the church and do not have grace.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that's what they're. I don't know which one you're referring to
The
specifically. I know that's what
2014 union.
Yeah, yeah,
2014 union, yeah.
their union one. Yeah, I read that. I mean, that's still not their official position, obviously, because I can
Did
show
there
you, I
do
can show
what?
you documents that are taught in their seminaries from what's his name again? Let me pull
Wait,
it
hold on,
up.
Father Joseph.
Yep.
Were those union documents? What's the word I would say? Ratified by the whole synod?
Yeah, they were.
Okay, that's what I thought.
See, so he's bringing up particular arguments
How's that
against
not official?
the stated policies, and so we're banding about on private opinions from certain
They're not private.
clerics.
Well, they're extrapolations,
And they're
Father.
their own opinions. They're their own opinions, but we still have a stated policy. So you're using all their criticisms and their ideas about all this to obfuscate the general principle that has been already laid down. And you can't do that.
Well,
Father,
first of all,
hold on, John. Hold on, John. Father, I would say it's more sinister than that. I think he's taking a bunch of PDFs, a bunch of books, extrapolating information from them to justify his current position. That's all I hear. That's all I've heard since we started.
Well, I'm not. Well, I mean, I don't
So
need to.
it sounds like repentance is needed. That's what it sounds like. Repentance is needed. Humility and trust in the church and not your own private judgment or
That's where you're
pulling
getting in
from other
trouble.
people's ideas. You got to trust the church. You're not trusting anything of what Father Joseph has said or Reader John. You're just denying. Oh, that's not true. Give me all yada yada. And so
I'm not trying to.
But
I'm
you're
not trying
just
to.
positing your ideas.
I'm not trying to be mean. John, hold on. I'm not trying to be mean, buddy. What I'm trying to tell you is, based on the history that I've gleaned so far, it sounds like you've been a little bit everywhere in a very short amount of time, right? So that's hard.
No, I mean, it's more complicated. It's not like I went from like Roman Catholicism.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you've been all over Orthodoxy and around the world in 80 days. You know what I mean? And it seems like you've never been one place long enough to be in obedience or to get a solid footing within Orthodoxy. So to me, it feels like you're trying to justify where you're at based on feelings, emotions, some judgments, some opinions,
I mean,
a little bit of facts here and there.
I mean, I didn't want to bring this up. I didn't want to bring this up because many people use it against me. But
Well, I'm
throughout
not
my
trying to.
life,
I'm
no, no,
trying
no.
to.
Let me say this one thing. And by the way, I do have
Okay,
the
go ahead.
documents. I do have the documents here, so I will
Yeah, go
read
for
them.
it.
And I
Yeah.
even have the union documents where I will show that even after what they had said in that document, they didn't actually practice it, right? But that being said, I just want to give like from my personal experience, actually growing up all my life, by the way, ethnically, like I'm Armenian, right? So as an infant, I was obviously baptized in the Armenian church.
Yeah.
But I never attended an Armenian church. Throughout my life, the times I did go to church, I would commune and I would go to an Antiochian church. So I was actually a victim of the ecumenism, which yes,
Uh-huh.
is very sad that happened between the Antiochians and the Monophysites, right? So even though I was formally baptized into the Orthodox Church in 2021 through roll call, throughout
Hmm.
my life, like my childhood, I went to an I mean I didn't go there like every weekend.
Whoa, hold on. You said you got baptized when? In 2021?
2020 into the roll call, but I was baptized as an infant in the Armenian church through which I was exposed to
Which
Orthodoxy.
is not Orthodox.
Sorry?
Which is not Orthodox.
I mean, clearly my baptism was valid according to the GOC Clinicals. They just chrismated me.
I understand how they received you. But
I
what
mean,
I'm
if I was
saying,
baptized in the Armenian church,
but
they would
no,
have
no, no.
rebaptized me.
I'm saying your upbringing, like how you were taught, was not Orthodox. So you've only really been Orthodox for a very short time, correct?
I mean,
Did you say you're? Did you say?
yeah?
Did you say you're a cleric as well?
No, I didn't say I was a cleric.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I
No,
thought I heard that
I'm
earlier.
not a cleric. I'm just a layman.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been a cleric or anything. Although, like, when I was a kid, I do remember at one point, I
Uh-huh.
actually did, and they knew, and the priest knew that I was baptized in the Armenian church. They still allowed me to commune at the Antiochian church, and at one point, they
Okay.
even let me serve as an altar boy. So I was
So,
actually a victim of the ecumenism
w-
that occurred between them. So I understand
when
the
did you
point.
come into clinic? When did you come into the Clinico Synod then?
2022.
Huh?
Wait a second. Did you just say that you grew up Armenian, but that when you went to the Antiochians, they not only recognized your baptism, etc., they let you serve?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, my mom and my
Oh,
stepdad, they
wow.
were married. They were well. I this is why I didn't want to bring it up because it's used against me a
Well,
lot.
no, it's a good. No,
Well,
it
I mean,
actually
it's
helps us
kind of
out.
yeah,
It's
it
very,
kind
it's
of
very.
counters, but it does counter your own point about official recognition of
It
monophysites.
does. It doesn't because even prior to like the 20th century, which is a whole nother point. I didn't. This is why I didn't want to bring it up because I knew it was gonna like get into
Well,
this
because
argument
we'd
again.
figure out that you suffer from something that you need to repent of.
All right. So, anyways, but there are
Okay.
there are many. I will admit, yes, there are ecumenist priests within the Antiochian Church, and I was a victim of it. In fact, my baby brother, he was baptized in the Antiochian Church, where I was baptized into the Armenian Church. My mom, who is not formally part of World Orthodoxy, as you guys would
Hmm.
call it, and she got married. She got remarried to my stepdad in the Antiochian church. And I grew up
Hmm.
the times I did go to church, I
Hmm.
never once went to an Armenian church. The only time I've been
Hmm.
to an Armenian church was for a baptism of my half sister, right? But for services, I've never been to an Armenian church. I've always gone to an Antiochian
Interesting.
church growing up. Yeah.
How did you receive your catechism?
Sorry?
How are you brought up in the faith? Like
I
were you
mean,
catechized?
no, I
Oh,
mean, I was
so
yeah.
so Zolotus has his hand up. Give me a second. I'm going to unmute.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to ask him to unmute there, and then okay, just lower the hand. All right, so just unmute yourself. Okay. Hello.
I think he left. Oh, never mind. He's still here.
Uh,
But before I
You have to give permissions on this thing.
yeah, I'm asking him to unmute, and so
Yeah. I don't know if you can do it while you're
he
in here.
just wrote, "That's the ecumenism we're talking about," and then he left. Okay, maybe he'll come back. There he's back. Okay, so let's.
Welcome back.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
There you go. We can hear you now. And now we can.
Hello. So Lotus.
I can hear anyone.
Great.
All right.
Did you have
What-
questions for anyone or comments? For.
Any thoughts?
I can't hear anyone, unfortunately. I'll try again.
We
Okay.
hear you. Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. All right. So yeah. This is I mean, unfortunately, I feel bad. We're not looking for like your past as a gotcha or anything. Okay, so Lotus is back. Let's try him again. Pin him back.
No, I was getting context. It's not a gotcha. And
Yeah.
it
And we don't want you to feel like it's a gotcha. It's just
yeah. I just don't know you from Adam, to be honest.
All right.
Apparently, Father knows you.
Zolotis, welcome.
Can you hear us now?
I'll ask him to unmute.
We cannot hear you.
Okay, he's back. He's here.
Can you hear us?
Zolotis?
Hello?
It sounds like he's typing. Okay, well, we're waiting. Let me just see here.
Any comments, but
Okay. We have two of you now.
Oh, even better.
All right. So, yeah, if you have any questions or comments, so let's just speak into the mic, say hello, and that's it. Let me see here.
still
I'm
might
not
not be able to
gonna.
hear.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I had because this is the first time I've used this platform, so I think Zelotus is just having problems with it because I had trouble joining as well.
It happens.
Yeah.
Let's look at the comments. Let's see here.
It's
Well,
easier
But whenever you guys are ready, I have like all the documents here. I went on my iPad. I have St. Philaret's letters. I have I have the Union from 2014. Publications from the Etna Seminary. I have everything in front of me right now.
What are you? Okay, can I?
What are you trying? What are you trying to prove at this point?
Yeah.
Again, what I said before was that all these other opinions, but we want to know the specific policies of these churches. And so you've got to deal with authoritative sources, not just particular comments from other people. You've got to deal with the authorities.
I mean, what? So let me pull up this document real quick. One
We're not
second.
really interested in listening to this one says this and this one says that. We want to look at what the authority has to say. Otherwise, we're wasting time spinning wheels. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, actions. I mean, actions speak louder than words. That I can show.
Then why are you? Then why are you with the World Orthodox? Their actions definitely speak towards ecumenism.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them, not all of them.
No, all of them.
The words say it too. I mean, so we have to judge their words because I can't judge actions. We got their words. That's what we want to deal with. Nothing ambiguous. This is a good discussion, but it needs to have facts behind it. Otherwise, we're just spinning wheels.
I mean, I have facts behind it.
Well, you have documents, and then you extrapolate them.
I'm not extrapolating them. I can show you where in the 2000. One sec. Okay, it's 3 against 1 here. I'd like to say something.
All right, that's why we're letting you talk more. But I have the pastoral agreement of 2001 between the Copts and the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria, and
My bad. My bad. I got muted. So I mean, I do think like both the actions and the words, even though in many cases, yes, actions do speak louder than words. I think both of them are very important. And the reason I bring this up is because I would like to
Hey, John,
demonstrate.
hold up. Father,
Yeah,
are you still here?
Father, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Father,
Muted. I really don't
Oh,
understand. I was literally reading from a pastoral agreement that I put on the screen.
oh, okay. I was just making sure you're still there because it kind of cut out.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, before you go on, John, the opening paragraph of this undermines every single thing you're saying. In 2001, the pastoral agreement between the Coptic Orthodox Church and the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria and all Africa says, since the holy synods of both the Coptic Orthodox Church and the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria and all Africa have already accepted the outcome of the official dialogue on Christology between the Orthodox Church and the Oriental Orthodox churches, including the two official agreements, the first on Christology signed in June 1989 in Egypt, and the second on Christology and on the lifting of the anathemas and restoration of full communion signed in Geneva 1990, in which it is stated that in the light of our agreed statement on Christology, we have now clearly understood that both families have always loyally maintained the same authentic Orthodox Christological faith and unbroken continuity of the apostolic tradition.
And that's by the intercommune.
Yeah.
That's an official statement signed by both their patriarchs and their
And Constantinople communes them as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's been times where Bartholomew has communed Roman Catholics. Again, my
This is a problem.
explanation for that. Well, yeah, it is problematic what he's doing. I 100% agree with you.
It's heretical.
Right? Sorry?
He's flat out saying
Absolutely.
he recognizes
It absolutely. Well, can I answer this, please? Because I already knew you were going
Sure.
to bring this up. So this is absolutely heretical. But what I'm trying to say is that yes, you guys are pointing out real issues. This is heretical. I condemn it with you guys. Now, you guys think that my methodology is wrong, but my point is that.
Oh, no. What we're pointing out is those are heretical. They're in
Yes, and I agree
heresy.
with you.
And you're in communion. Well, hold on. If you're part of world orthodoxy, you're in communion with that, buddy.
I mean, technically,
and it's willful communion.
All right, great. So even according to you guys, what I was trying to demonstrate earlier is that if you guys are consistent with what you're saying, you would be condemning the Rokor in the 90s, which was in communion with the Cypriots, Bulgarian True Orthodox, and Romanian True Orthodox, and they were in communion with Jerusalem and Serbia. They might have not done commemoration, but still in Eucharistic communion with them, and they were in communion with the Antiochians.
Actually, they weren't in communion with Jerusalem and Serbia.
They are. I can show you.
At that point, no.
No, I can show
I think you need to read. There's a great article by Subdeacon Nectarius on the matter. I think you need to read it.
I mean, I've read parts.
I think he put it up in the chat.
I've read parts of his works, but I have other documents that explicitly say, like for example, the Russian Orthodox Church, the de facto autocephalous church. I have other documents that actually show that the quote unquote breaking of communion was just in as much as the ceasing of commemoration, but they were still official communion.
Oh, no. So hold on. You know what communion is, right?
Sorry?
Do you know what communion is?
Yes, obviously.
Obviously not. So, are they sharing Eucharistic communion?
On an official level, they were still in communion, yes.
Father?
There's a distinction between, one second, in Orthodoxy, and you guys know this very well, because even amongst a lot of them were non-commemorators, right? In Orthodoxy, we have a distinction between formal Eucharistic communion and just non-commemoration. And this is sentimented in the history of the old calendars prior to 1935. And a citation for this.
Do you have Eucharistic communion if you're a non-commemorator?
Sorry?
Does a non-commemorator have a Eucharistic communion with those they're not commemorating?
Hello.
Yeah, we're waiting. I thought we were just waiting for his answer.
I think his internet cut out.
I know.
That or
I mean,
Keep
I
to
would,
the question when he comes back.
yeah,
is communion reciprocal?
yeah. 'cause
I'm
that's
asking
what-
Father Joseph.
Hello?
communion is reciprocal, and that's why. I mean, yeah, that's why this document is so damning.
That's why it's called communion. Communio.
Mhm.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi,
Yeah, please.
yes, hello.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, I think he left again.
Lord have
Is that
mercy.
a convenient internet glitch?
It gives me time to take a drink of my scotch. It's okay.
Okay, he's back.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, we heard you, but then you vanished, Solotus.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a difficulty with my connection too, or something with my phone anyway. It's the first time I'm using this application. I have a question to John, actually, for John.
Okay.
He's not getting bothered from the fact that the Antiochian church was giving him communion, being an Armenian monophysite. And he has a problem if the Matthewites or the Florinites or whoever is fighting in between each other. Like, this is we're talking about the major problem here of having.
Well, I was trying to cover up his hypocrisy, but
It's not hypocrisy. Every
yes, it is.
Every jurisdiction, mainstream or
No.
Orthodox, has
I would
made
like, sorry for cutting you off, guys, but John, I would like to ask your attention for the most important things. You cannot ignore that major thing and start getting bothered from, let's say, minors or mild things.
not
So my suggestion to you, as a Christ brother, okay, is something obvious. I would say, I had so many times. I have been born and grew up as an old calendarist, from the Florinites, but from Greece. But it doesn't mean I don't have any problem with the Matthewites or the Florinites or whatever it is. My suggestion is this one: if you have concerns about that, it's better for you to go to your spiritual father, take his blessing, pray to God. God is gonna show you where to end up. It's so simple. If you're just coming, jumping in the streams, the Orthodox stream, the Armenian stream, the Catholic stream, you're gonna get lost. You're taking it in the wrong way, my brother.
Have you had a spiritual father, John?
Yeah, this is a good question. So first of all, you have to pray to God to direct you to a spiritual father, the proper spiritual father, and then go through that. Start your journey from the right way, with the right way. You're trying to start your journey from the end of the way. You have to start it from the beginning. And the most basic thing is that one. You have to pray to God to show you the right spiritual father to follow through, and then to show you where to go, where he wants you to end up. He might want you to end up to Kalinikos or to Makarios or to North America Church, whatever. I'm just saying as an example. Okay, so this is the right way to do it, my brother. Just your own research is okay, is respectful, but you're getting lost. So thank you so much. Sorry for taking that long. I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay. I welcome Spiridon. I see you're also in the room, so feel free to join in on this comment. Greetings, everyone. And Zelotes, thank you very much for that. I agree. That's sage advice, John. That should have been number one. This really should have gone through your spiritual father. I know you did have some discussions with him, but at least the ones you expressed to me were somewhat confrontational. And I kind of wish that, he left. Okay. I guess I hurt his feelings.
There's connection.
All right. Welcome, Spiridon. How are you doing? God bless you. We're going through the list.
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
Hey,
so,
one of the things that I was gonna say is before we it seems like we're getting caught up with too much semantics and canon laws and stuff. I think the bigger picture is like, what is that we're administering here? This is the body and blood of Christ. We can't just like pretend that it's not that and give it to anything or anyone.
Right.
Correct. That's a very
Yeah.
good point.
It is. That's 100% the truth right there. And so I guess John vanished. I hope he comes back, because I think that, you know, both of you make very valuable points on the spiritual nature of the church, which is something that is forgotten in all this, which can lead a person to thinking that, you know, okay, well, John's back. Okay, welcome back, John.
Yeah, my bad. My internet. Apologies, guys. Like my internet is.
Well, what do you think of what, I don't know if you heard what Spiridon said. He was referring primarily to the, you know, the nature of the nature of communion, and Zelotes made the point that this was a, you know, an issue that should have been discussed with your spiritual father, and you kind of cut out at that moment. And I think it's kind of important.
Yeah, so I mean, all I would say is this, is that even if you look at the examples of St. Mark of Ephesus, and I don't even have to appeal to true Orthodox history, which, by the way, they actually publish books like Alejos Kainatrope and Fausto and Scotti from both the Matthewites and the Florinites that actually express the distinction between Eucharist formal communion, and even while remaining in formal communion, there is still an aspect of non-commemoration, right? But I don't even have to appeal to those examples from true Orthodox history. I can show from St. Mark of Ephesus and St. Gregory Palamas themselves, with St. Gregory Palamas, although he did not commemorate the Latinizing patriarch, there is no evidence to suggest, because he himself made the distinction, our pillar of orthodoxy, between Eucharistic communion and the ceasing of commemoration. Hence why there is still an aspect of ceasing commemoration within world orthodoxy, and it's been the same for true orthodoxy as well.
Wait, hold on. Are you insinuating that St. Gregory communed with the Latin patriarch? Or Latinizing patriarch?
He was still in communion with the...
With the what? John?
Yes. Even, one second.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah, so what my response to that was, yes, St. Gregory Palamas on a formal level was still in communion with the Church of Constantinople, which included many of the Latinizers, right? But there's a distinction between ceasing of commemoration and ceasing of communion. Now, a lot of times they're used interchangeably, but even true Orthodox sources, like many of the PDF,
Gone again.
Okay, I think it should be back on now.
No, he's gone.
Oh, he disappeared. Okay.
but even they concede that St. Gregory Palamas
He's back.
is commemoration.
Okay. So you're saying that St. Gregory Palamas communed with the Latinizing patriarch?
He was still technically in communion with them, yes. He just ceased commemorating them in his church.
Did he commune with them?
Sorry?
Did he commune with them?
We don't know if he would. We don't know if he would give. We don't know. Well, we know for a fact that he didn't give communion to, for example, like someone who held to the ideologies of Barlium. But that doesn't matter because he was still in communion with the Church of Constantinople.
That sounds like Peter Hears. It sounds like Peter Hears because
a lot of it does actually.
There has been no specific judgment made to break communion, to call a schismatic. So therefore, we can remain in the whole picture, even though St. Gregory Palamas non-commemorated, he's still in that big picture there. And so therefore, it means that he accepts the heresy of the other person.
And by the
but
way,
that's not true.
Real quick, I just want to answer what Zelotes said. He said that St. Gregory Palamas was never in communion with the Latins. I never made that argument. He was in communion with the Church of Constantinople that had Latinizers, but he was never in communion with the Roman Catholics.
Now, with the example of St. Mark of Ephesus, are you also trying to say that St. Mark of Ephesus was in communion with the Latinizers?
Well, no, with Saint Mark of Ephesus, because unlike the Latinizers at the time of Saint Gregory Palamas, they were actually formally and
Union.
dogmatically joining. They were on a dogmatic and a universal level. They were joining with the Roman Catholics, right? So Saint Mark of Ephesus broke communion with them, but there is no evidence to show that he condemned them as a separate graceless church like the true Orthodox do with us, and they repented at the Synod of Alexandria.
Yeah. Okay. So Zolotus wants to counter on that, so I'm going to push
Question
him
for
on.
John.
Yeah, sure. By the way, I have Saint Mark of Ephesus's writings right here, and what he says about the Latinizers. Nowhere does he say that they were graceless and
Okay.
complete
Yeah.
apostles.
Okay. That
Yeah.
stop.
So, can I ask something, Father Joseph?
Yeah.
Joe.
Please go ahead.
So, what's your sources about communion between Constantinople, Patriarch of Constantinople, of the the year of Saint Gregory Palamas, and the Latinized? So, what exactly details do you have of that? What's your sources? Where do you read that Constantinople was in communion with Latinized?
No, there were Latinizers within the Church of Constantinople. In
Who
fact,
were they?
Barlia, one second.
Who were they? Do you have any names, please? Do you have any resources that I can find this detail?
Yeah,
Because
sure. I have. Yeah, sure. I'll pull it up right now. It's a PDF written. It's a PDF, a Florinite PDF that mentions this. The patriarch's name was John, and they actually quote. I have it right here. Let me pull it up from pastoral as well. Here.
and also Saint Marcus the Ephesian. You said that he had communion with Latinized before the Ferrara Floridia synod.
Well, first of all, they became Latinizers at the Council of Ferrara Florence when they had officially
No,
and
no, no, no,
universally
No,
signed
no,
them.
no.
no,
That's
No,
no.
no,
not
I'm
true.
talking about on an
Yeah.
I'm talking about on an official level when they had signed the decrees of
What's
Florence.
your resources about that? Can you please upload those two?
Yeah, sure, I will.
So, are you a
Because
heretic
I'm
before
I'm
you're
pretty sure
officially
that
condemned?
I'm pretty
Sorry,
sure that
that you
those
guys aren't
resources are not
understanding.
accurate.
You guys aren't understanding my point. So first of all,
No, I'm understanding your.
I said that he had only, and he even says it himself, right? Because all of the citations, and I'll bring it up right now, all the citations where he speaks about his breaking of communion with the Latinizers is all after they had signed the Council of Florence. Because even at the Council of Florence,
How did he refer to those who signed on to the union?
he referred to them with many names. He didn't refer to them. He just referred to them as.
Did he call them
Latinizers.
heretics?
Sorry.
Did he call them heretics?
Yeah, he said that they were adhering to heresy. Yeah, he didn't condemn them.
So they're
He
heretics.
didn't. Sorry.
So they're heretics.
Yeah.
Do we
He was listed as
Do we
heretical.
commune with heretics?
Sorry.
Yeah. So I have your
So,
answer.
anyways, I have the citation.
I have your answer.
I have the
So
citation right here. All right, because
yeah,
you
okay.
guys are throwing like a
Wait
million.
it.
I'd like to answer each one. Right. So I have Saint Gregory
Sure.
Palamas here.
Okay.
Okay. So, and we'll get to each point specifically because I want to have a discussion here. Not here to like bash on true orthodoxy. Again, I believe that true Orthodox Christians are Orthodox Christians, but I'm going to defend what I believe in, right? So this is what and this is mentioned in one of the Florinite documents, which I can pull up, but it quotes Patrologia Grace, and they still recognize Saint Gregory Palamas as in communion with the Church of Constantinople, but this is what Patriarch John said. He
Okay.
said, Palamas and those of like mind with him who have uncanonically and rashly dared to break off commemoration of me, do we subject censure from the holy and life-giving Trinity and consign to anathema, which, by the way, that anathema had no bearing, signed by
Who's saying
John.
this?
Sorry, John by the
Patriarch.
mercy. Yeah, Patriarch John by the Archbishop of
This is not Saint
Constantinople.
Gregory Palamas. This is
Yeah,
the Latinizing patriarch.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but this is cited in
I know,
Orthodox
but we're
documents to
listening.
show that one sec to
Just
show.
clarifying for Father Joseph.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep going.
to show that St. Gregory Palamas broke off commemoration with him, but they were still formally in communion with one another, just like how St. Hilary of Poitiers, in the citation that even Father...
All right, stop, John.
Oh,
John,
man.
John,
No,
stop.
no, don't do it. Don't do it, because I will call you out on those texts.
I have the text all in front of me right now.
I can pull them all in front of me right now too, but you are switching the topic way too far. It's a cheap debate attempt. Stick to what your point was with Constantinople, please.
Well, that was Patriarch John saying it. It wasn't St. Gregory Palamas saying it.
Well, what I was trying to show, and by the way, this is cited by one of, and I can pull up the document right here. But this is cited
I'm sure you can.
Can you please stop telling me where it's going to be cited next and tell me what's its relevance now?
The relevance now is that even with St. Gregory Palamas, right, he broke off commemoration with Patriarch John, through which Patriarch John on himself.
According to Patriarch John, that's the point. According to Patriarch John,
no,
you're not citing.
This
first of all,
what's that? What again? Yeah. This idea that a heretic can't say something right or say something historically correct. This is cited by true Orthodox themselves. This is cited by Metropolitan Cyprian. If you
but you're the one who said that. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
he
said John.
Can I clarify something?
This anathema.
We're escaping the topic.
One second. Yeah. This anathema wouldn't have been issued by his personal opinion if St. Gregory Palamas did not actually break commemoration with him.
Yeah. John, do you allow me, please, to clarify something?
Sure.
What does Latinized means, and what's the difference between Latinized and Latins? So
the difference is this, right? Latinizers are people who are still, quote unquote, formally within the Orthodox Church, who are being ecumenistic with the Latins, and the Latins are completely.
So they're uniates.
Sorry?
So they're uniates.
No, the uniates are ones who are actually part of the Roman Catholic Church.
So we have names about that specific time you're talking about, St. Gregory Palamas, the Latinizers, the Latins, and the Constantinople Patriarch. So we have names. The Latinizers that the Patriarch John was talking about was specifically one of the professors of the University of Constantinople, Dimitrios Kidonis. He was about to join the Latin Church. He didn't have communion. He didn't broke communion with the Orthodox Church, and he didn't start communion with the Catholic Church, with the Latins, not the Catholic. Wrong for me. My mistake. My apologies. We are the Catholic Church of Jesus Christ.
I know, but we know what you mean by when you say Catholic.
Let me finish, please. Thank you. So the Latinizers were those back then. We are not talking about today. We're talking about a very strict age, a very strict period of the history in general, right? People were different back there. They didn't, Dimitrios Kidonis specifically, he didn't start having communion. He didn't broke communion with Constantinople to start communion with the Pope. He was about to do that. You can find that in Stephen Rassiman if you want.
Yes.
The great history. Okay, yes. And also you can find it.
And the basis on which he was about to do this, why was it? Because this was based on why St. Gregory Palamas back then had written the apodictic treatises on the Holy Spirit.
No, that's wrong.
At that time, within the Orthodox Church, there were people trying to say that the Latin position of the filial way got different from us.
John, let him finish his point first.
With all my respect, let me finish, please. Dimitrios Kidonis was actually affected by his brother, Grigorios Kidonis, who was the professor of astronomy in the University of Constantinople, and he was the first person in the history that found out that the calendar is losing a few days, 5 days back then. So that's what, and because the Latins were accepting that, that's why he actually started looking to the Latins. So they didn't broke communion. They didn't broke communion yet. They were about to do that. Turns out they didn't. They didn't.
Yes, and you know what? Yes, and what you just said affirmed my point, because they weren't formally in communion with the Roman Catholics. In order to formally be in communion,
even in an individual level.
One second. Yeah. In order to formally be in communion with a church, you just proved my point right here.
John, you're going to have to let people talk as well, not just cut them off.
All right, sure. I mean, this entire stream has been me versus like like 4 other people. So
You
that's why
kind
I've
of
been
knew
throwing
what
a million
you
points
kind
around.
of. Hold
Well,
on.
to be fair, John, you came here.
Yeah, you knew what you were getting into. It's like you know who I am, and you
Please.
were a co-host. Like, don't play a victim when you know.
I'm not
You
I'm
kind
not
of are.
playing.
This is like the 4th or 5th
I
time you're
mean,
like, "Oh, it's me against
what were you
one."
expecting?
Yeah.
What were you expecting?
I mean, I wasn't expecting like 4 other people to join. I was expecting maybe to have a discussion with Father Joseph, and that's pretty much
When's
it.
the
Not
last
like
time you joined the stream?
Yeah, anyway,
last time I joined the stream and was probably back in like 2022.
Yeah, but
And
even
most of
in
the time,
2022, we had
and
multiple people
ironically,
show up.
and ironically enough, actually, and you can re-upload those streams. Ironically enough, for the most part, in most of our streams, there would probably be like 1 or 2 other people in the stream. This is actually one of the biggest streams that I've seen.
Well, they
And
get they get bigger with time. But the point is that we did have many streams where there were a lot of people talking, and that's why I'm going to have to use the mute button if we all talk over each other. Let's give each other a turn. And John, please stop the whole 3 against 1 thing. Everyone's giving you a space.
All right, so Zalitos, you want to make your point? I'm sorry.
anyway, I have to leave you guys. Thanks for having me in your meeting the stream. I will just be listening you. I hope another time.
Thank you so much, Zolotus. God bless you. You were really helpful in the stream, and we really appreciated you being here.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. God bless you.
You too.
Okay, so I never once got a chance because Elitos had joined and he brought up the point with St. Gregory Palamas. I never once got a chance to talk about the 2014 union and the and what occurred after it. Okay, so I'm
No
gonna
time like the present.
All right, yeah, the present, the history matters. Okay, history matters. Okay,
Yes.
and you guys admit this. So page 6 of the Ecclesiastical Union of the Orthodox community in resistance, the Cyprianites, with the church of the true Orthodox Christians of Greece. All right. So here, 1 second. So this is what section 8.2 says on page 6, and this is the Cyprianite speaking. By way of this document, which constitutes an Orthodox confession of faith, the hierarchs of the former synod in resistance set aside. Oh, this is the canonical synod speaking about the.
Which one is this? This is the True Orthodox Church and the Heresy of Ecumenism. And what's the section?
No.
He's talking about the 2014 union now.
Yeah. This is page 6 of the Ecclesiastical Union of the Orthodox community in resistance with the Church of the True Orthodox Christians of Greece. Objections, concerns, and the resolution. Page 6.
Okay, objections. So I can use that.
Yeah. So here, by way of this document, and this is official, by way of this document, which constitutes an Orthodox confession of faith, the hierarchs, right, and this is why I said their actions are very important in this regard, the hierarchs of the former synod in resistance set aside their previously formulated ecclesiological views, which they also withdrew from their official website. They have also started writing that they will not henceforth employ terms and phrases antithetical, of the ecclesiastical basis of the union document. And if you still go to their website today, you can look at the PDF, which they said in the official synodal resolutions. If you go on their website today, they still have official documents that they are, circulating that still preach Cyprianism. For example, page 45 of the Heresy of Ecumenism, straight from the website today, not back then, today. Page 45, the Heresy of Ecumenism and the Patristic Stand of the Orthodox, with appearance of a spiritual illness, a heresy, the organism of the church, is thenceforth separated into a healthy part and a diseased or ailing part, that is an ailing part. So again, this is clear proof. This is just one of many.
Are they promulgating it, or is that for historic reference?
No,
because that synod no longer exists.
Oh, they're promulgating it actually, and I can show you. The bishops who were formerly part of that synod are still promulgating it, and I can show you this right now. So here, 2015, after.
But if the synod is dissolved, it is moot.
Yeah, the synod no longer exists, but the bishops from that synod.
So well, how can they promulgate it?
Personal opinions.
Sorry, they're not personal opinions. When, for example, one of these
it has to be because the synod's dissolved.
No, because the bishops from that synod are still, and I can show you what they say. Again, let me get this point in, right?
Right, but
So
wait a second. The bishops also have stated that they no longer hold to those positions. They've signed documents to that effect. So what you're saying is
Correct.
they still hold to these positions,
even though they say they don't.
what's your official proof of this?
it's very simple, and this is a document that is called Church of the Genuine Orthodox Christians of Greece, Holy Diocese of Etna and Portland, St. Gregory Palamas Monastery, an unpleasant but necessary statement about certain misrepresentations and historical facts by Bishop Auxentius of Etna and Portland, and the editors and collaborators being Bishop Chrysostomos and Metropolitan Amirtas of Etna in 2015. And I'll give you two quotes from this. This is what it says. This is after the union. It says, regarding the quote-unquote heresy of ecumenism, the ecclesiology of the Synod of Resistance was not an invention of Metropolitan Cyprian, but was based on the Synod's interpretations of conciliar patristics and historic precepts of the Orthodox Church. An interpretation, in fact, expressed in many of the writings of the father of the Old Calendar movement, Metropolitan Chrysostomos of Florina, which it never declared to be an infallible and indisputable ecclesiological stand, nor did it, in faces of clear difference, characterize the ecclesiology of other old calendars as heretical.
No, hold on.
So John, context is everything.
Yeah, there's no reference to the so-called heresy of ecumenism in the document, an unpleasant but necessary statement about certain misrepresentations. I have it here. I just searched the document. The only place where it says a heresy of ecumenism, the entire sentence is, the union was one of separated brothers seeking unity in a common cause, the preservation of the Orthodox identity of the church.
The context was them referring to their history, not their current position.
And what do they? And 1 second, and I can go to the next page, right? In page 4, which actually refutes this. But first of all, it's important to point out what he's saying, because according to the 2014 document, right? According to that, their position was considered heretical, was considered crypto-ecumenistic, and they repented of it. To the point where they were supposed to take off all of their documents promulgating this on their website, which they said they already did, which I demonstrated they did not. But furthermore, it said that this position, which at that union was condemned as crypto-ecumenistic by canonicals, they're saying was an orthodox interpretation of even the father of both the Synod of Resistance and the canonicals, without disregarding other interpretations. So what is it? Is it a crypto-ecumenistic heresy, or is it a tolerable interpretation of the orthodoxy?
Well, the actual documents kind of defending Metropolitan Cyprian, his person versus the ideas that had been put upon him, I guess.
No, but this is specifically talking about the ideas. And let me get to page 4. The quote-unquote Cyprianite bishops, referring to himself and the bishops at the 2014 union, depending on where they were from, were either reordained or received by the laying on of hands. This is him quoting what other people say. And this is what he responds with. Our former archbishop was given the title of metropolitan at the time of the union between the Holy Synod in Resistance and the Clinical Synod in 2014. As I said above, both he and I at the time was his assistant bishop, were received into the United Synod when we had signed the aforementioned ecclesiological documents, which, by the way, they contradicted. No prayer of any kind was ever read on us, nor did we submit to any sort of confession for our supposed past heresy, nor would we have ever accepted such provisions. I think this is a fact that speaks of itself, ipso facto. So on one hand, you have the 2014 union document saying that Cyprianism is a crypto-ecumenistic heresy, and you guys have to delete all your documents promulgating it. And then a year later, they issue another official document from 3 of the bishops from the seminary that say that we would have never repented of this alleged heresy of Cyprianism, and we weren't even reordained. They recognized us and our views as Orthodox and as an Orthodox interpretation of Chrysostomos of Florina. So what is it? Tell me.
So, what's your question here? Are you basically saying
Why he's
that
he's kind of trying to combine Cyprian of Oropos and Phili and also Chrysostomus of Florina. Trying to say they're saying the same thing, even though Cyprianism is actually named after Cyprian.
Yeah, I know, but again, they say in that document that that what we now know as Cyprianism it doesn't actually originate. I can give you the quote again. Doesn't originate from Metropolitan Cyprian, but rather it originates from an Orthodox interpretation of the universal consensus of the fathers and Chrysostomos of Florina. So he's not even saying that this is specifically to Chrysostomos of Florina. He's saying that what was condemned in the 2014 and union as crypto-ecumenism, he's saying that no, that a year later, no, that's just an Orthodox interpretation of the universal consensus of the fathers. So you tell me, you guys, according to your own.
But isn't it a moot point at this point, though? I mean, the only thing it seems you have an issue with is the supposed promulgation of former views on a defunct website from a defunct synod.
Well, first of all, it does matter because part of the reasons why they were accepted back into the geopoliticos was on the basis. Now, you guys can just say like, "Oh, it's just a website, whatever." It's explicitly mentioned.
But it's just a website.
Yeah, I know, but it's explicitly mentioned in the 2014
There's
union
no
document.
For
hold
historical
on.
reference.
Here's my question: how come these things get to be treated by you like dogma, but official statements signed by patriarchs don't? Like you're referring to a defunct website as the secret proof that the Cyprianites are ecumenists, even though they don't exist. And then, meanwhile, we point to actual patriarchal documents between the Greeks, the Greek New Calendarists, and the Copts, or the Greek
And actions.
Yeah, and communion and full communion, and you're like, oh, that's just a personal thing. John, I'm sorry, but the John I knew 2 years ago would see through this John.
All right, actually, I have an answer for you. So you asked me, how come I don't view these as dogmatic upon you guys? But what I am trying to say is that true Orthodox treat such encyclicals, a true Orthodox treats such encyclicals as dogmatic to the point if one bishop says something heretical in his own personal letter, right, or in a letter representing
Wait, hold on, John. Before you go down that, before you go down that rabbit hole, is the Synod in Resistance now in communion with Clinicos?
It doesn't exist. Their bishops are under Clinicos.
The bishops are part of the same synod.
Yes, they're part of the same synod.
Okay. So there is no Synod in Resistance.
Yes, but the bishops who are forming.
Is there anybody promulgating from high up, any of the Synod, officially promulgating Cyprianism?
Yes, I just showed it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I just showed it. According to, again, you guys didn't even answer this
point. No. I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm talking about right now. This is still the position of the bishops at Etna, and they teach us at their seminary.
Is that the right now defunct synod?
Sorry?
Is that the now defunct synod that you're
I don't know.
Trying to say? Yeah.
Is that the now defunct synod?
What do you mean defunct synod? What do you mean?
There is no Synod in Resistance.
There is no Synod in Resistance, yes, but there are bishops. 1 second. But this is presupposing that allegedly the Synod of Resistance.
So they teach it in their seminary, correct?
You're not understanding my point.
I am. They're teaching it in their seminary, right?
Sorry?
You said they're teaching in their seminary. Where?
Not only in their seminary, but also in their official documents, as I showed. I just quoted it to you.
Where in the Synod? I mean, we're in the current Synod, and we're in the seminary.
Here, look.
No, that's not from the seminary.
Conjecture.
That is from the seminary. Church of the Genuine Orthodox Christians of Greece, Holy Diocese of Etna and Portland, St. Gregory Palamas Monastery, and obviously St. Gregory Palamas' monastery is right there in Etna with the seminary.
But right? isn't there a seminary called St. Photius Orthodox Theological Seminary?
Yes, it's a seminary, but they're right next to St. Gregory Palamas Monastery in Etna.
Okay, but where are they teaching it in their curriculum at spots?
What? So you're saying that they wouldn't?
They print their curriculum, right?
Sorry?
Do they print their curriculum? What they teach?
Yes, and their bishop.
Is there Cyprianism in there?
And I have a question. Who's the bishop who in 2015, who was the bishop at that monastery and at that seminary teaching there?
What does it matter?
It does
What's
matter
the-
because we have
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we have written
Wasting time
we
questions.
have written documents from not only him
From
but
back
other
then?
bishops, It doesn't matter if it's back then.
Can you
It's still in
demonstrate
effect.
that the current academic curriculum of spots is actually
No, but I
Cyprianism?
thought it doesn't matter if it was back then. I thought if a bishop, especially a group of bishops,
See,
one
it's-
second, especially a group of bishops, I thought if they officially taught a heresy, that's enough for them to be defrocked. According to the 2014 Union document, in 2015, a
Have they
year
been
afterwards,
defrocked?
they contradicted it.
Have they been defrocked? Have they been
they-
brought to spiritual court because they're openly teaching Cyprianism, which is a condemned heresy?
Well, no, they haven't been defrocked. They're still
Okay.
active bishops, and they're still
Why
allowed
has the
to hold this
spiritual?
opinion.
Wait, hold
And
on, John. Why has the spiritual court not been convened?
Sorry?
If you're correct, why has the spiritual court not been convened?
Because
Why have they not been defrocked?
Because just like I've been saying this entire stream, you guys are inconsistent and we have our inconsistencies. There's no such thing as a perfect Orthodox synod. That's why.
Yeah, but we're
But there's
stuck.
no
We're
truth.
not.
Yeah, according
There's
to
no
the crazy world of John's illogical logic, yes. But what I'm talking about is if they were openly teaching Cyprianism, especially in the seminary, especially in the hold on, shut your mouth for a second. Listen for once. If they're openly teaching it in their seminary, and not everybody in the Canonical Synod was from the Synod in Resistance, don't you think that would have been dealt with by now in their own synod?
I mean,
I'm gonna interrupt because Subdeacon Nectarios did put up a quote from Bishop Auxentios. He said, "I see the union of the Synod and Resistance with the GOC in 2014 as inspired even, with the God-pleasing fruit of that union being indisputable. A condition of the union included the Synod and Resistance assurance that it would set Metropolitan Cyprian's thesis aside, and I remain faithful to that promise to this day." Bishop Auxentios, the text for my video just posted 6 months ago. You should probably read the clear statement that Bishop Auxentius had me post on my video for our
he set aside Cyprianism.
He contradicted himself. Amazing.
No, he contradicted your reading of it. No, he didn't contradict himself.
No, first of all, the quote that the quote that Subdeacon Nectarios gave wasn't an exact interpretation, wasn't a specific interpretation of what I just presented earlier.
Wow.
Second of all this would prove.
Okay,
Let me get this point in, and all this would prove is just like how the book, The Struggle Against
John, can you let Father Boniface talk for a sec?
Okay.
I just said he needs to cash in the reality checks that we have given him, and he's not. He's not listening.
Because he's willful about his justification of his erroneous decision to go with world orthodoxy. That's been the whole stream so far.
Yeah, what it's going to come down to is this.
Yeah.
Even if we accepted your premise, John, that we all made a lot of mistakes and you guys all made a lot of mistakes, the simple reality is we are not in communion with heretics. We are not commemorating the Pope First in the taxes every year. We are not uniting in the World Council of Churches groups, etc. That all of the groups, including the Moscow Patriarchate, are still part of. So yeah, you want to say we all make mistakes? Congratulations, we all do.
However, but mistakes
including you. Good job. Goodbye.
Yeah, but mistakes that pertain
it
to
becomes
heresy,
an excuse to be relativizing everything.
Not just mistakes, but according to your own people, mistakes that are heretical.
You're literally in communion with people who are heretical, like long decided heretical, like conciliarly condemned heretical.
And you guys have too.
No, we haven't.
Yes, you guys have.
You've relived a few conversations from the 1970s, attempted to say that Bishop Auxentius believes something that he clearly quoted does not.
Contradicted.
And this is to justify literally saying the Pope is the head of the church every year in Constantinople, literally working with the Pope in Moscow, literally recognizing the Monophysites in Alexandria and Antioch. These are not comparable situations. They're not.
I don't think I've ever seen any true Orthodox bishops congratulate condemned heretics.
By the way, in regards to what Subdeacon Noctarios had said, we go to page 57 in chapter.
Nah, I'm done.
Chapter 3.
We're good, John.
I'm done.
All right.
I'm going to sip some scotch. I'm good.
We appreciate your visit. I'm so sorry to see you go this direction.
I mean, according to you, my church might have grace, so it doesn't even matter.
And
actually, that's not according to
wasting
at all. No,
precious
it's not.
Last
video
time I
time.
asked you, you said that World Orthodoxy are agnostic about their grace. You explicitly said that.
I did 2 years ago, and I've also made about a dozen streams saying I was wrong.
Okay, great. So just like Exentios,
You're gonna have to catch up on some streams there.
Yeah. So just like Exentios and Chrysostomos of Florina, you contradicted yourself on a matter of faith.
You're absolutely right. I will personally own that I contradicted myself repeatedly
on a matter of faith, right?
On a matter of faith for which I had to repent, and I was wrong.
And I have a question: is it heretical according to you? My church is heretical, right?
Well, the Rokoran P is in communion with heresy, but they're technically under the Moscow Patriarchate. Yeah, they're heretical. Yeah.
Okay, great. Is it? Can any Orthodox Christian say that there's grace in heresy?
It's not the standard teaching, no.
Okay, great. Go take it up with many people under Kalinikos. Go take it up with a bunch of true Orthodox jurisdictions.
There are people
agnostic about our grace.
Okay, Reader John is on this stream is under Kalinikos, if I'm not mistaken. So you're literally talking to people that are under Kalinikos. I believe a couple of the other people were too, and one was a Matthewite. And frankly, none of us.
All I hear is conjecture. I don't really hear actual proof. Conjecture is not proof.
First.
And we're not taking orders from John either. Okay. You can request, but we don't take orders.
Yeah, you're talking to two priests. And, well, I'm just a reader, so it don't matter. But you're talking to two priests, so be a little more respectful.
I mean, I haven't said anything insulting. I haven't, been disrespectful.
Well, it's not what you said, it's how you say it. Okay?
I haven't...
Show a little humility is what that's all I'm asking. Okay?
All right. I mean,
because you kind of tongue lashed at it, both fathers actually at this point. So kind of tame.
I was just trying to.
I know what you're trying to do. I'm just saying, restrain your tongue for a little bit.
When you
let them say their point, then you can say your point, then let them say their point again. Instead of keep going.
When you guys say. Because what you guys are essentially saying is that now I'm a graceless. By the way, Father Joseph Sweden wouldn't have said this probably 2 years ago. But now what you guys are technically saying is that I'm a graceless heretic. If you guys
guess what, but you know what? We're in the church over here, and there's room for repentance.
I'll tell you something. You want to know something sad, John? You might be right about the grace thing, because the second show that I did with you out of the 10, I received a canonical release, and I didn't know where to go. For those 2 months that I was arguing with you, I wasn't under a bishop at all. And I had to fix that. And eventually I did. And that changed my thinking, my life, my feelings, and brought me back to life because I wasn't under anybody. So that has a real spiritual effect. And maybe those shows shouldn't go back up. I don't know.
Well, Father, one thing is that the first time you had told me about this, right, was not actually when I was true Orthodox doing streams with you. The first time I had talked to you when I was still part of the mainstream church is when me, you, and Father Mark Templet, we had a small debate. And I had asked you about the status of World Orthodoxy way prior to your canonical release. Mm-hmm. And you and Father Mark Templet both disagreed on the status of World Orthodoxy. So it was actually before that.
Well, yeah, and he held a stricter position, and I was wrong because I used to hold that position, and most of my Orthodox life I've held that position. But when you get mentally and even spiritually kind of isolated, that's what happens. That's part of the reason why I thought you had a happy ending going to the church or the GOC there that was near you and were happy in going to church, and then you come on sounding more lost than you ever have.
Well,
to be fair, hey, and John, to be fair, a lot of us on here are converts, and we don't know everything about Orthodoxy all at once.
Yeah, I would definitely consider myself a convert to Orthodoxy.
You're definitely a convert.
You are. All of us are, aren't you?
Yes, but since I was a kid, and this is actually why I was baptized into the ROCOR, because there was a lot of confusion that I had went through. In fact, at one point, I did think I was baptized in the Antiochian church, because think about it. If I'm asking my grandmother, hey, where was I baptized? And she's unsure about it, and all I've ever been exposed to throughout my life was the Antiochian church, and then I was devastated when she found my baptismal document. And I was actually devastated, and I saw that, no, I wasn't baptized in the Antiochian church. I was baptized in the Monophysite church. I was devastated when I saw that.
So you never really found... So have you never really found time to... It doesn't sound like you had time to really dispel your confusion. It sounds like, to me, outside looking in, that you just made yourself more confused. You really haven't sat down.
No, I wasn't confused when I was in ROCOR.
No, hold on.
I only started getting confused when I got into
No. What I'm saying is you weren't really properly catechized. And what information you did have, you kind of went on a whirlwind adventure through World Orthodoxy, then True Orthodoxy, then back to World Orthodoxy. But it doesn't sound at all like you've really received a proper catechism.
Because again,
I'm saying this out of love.
When I went to church growing up, I was exposed to the praxis of Orthodoxy. So I already knew like Orthodox practices, like the prayers, how to make the sign of the cross, when to make it, etc.
Yeah, but those are externals. I mean, if you're coming from monophysitism, if you're coming from monophysitism, and then you were kind of adopted by an Antiochian family that does not really reject monophysitism, and kind of accepted an Armenian, which is obviously a Monophysite, that sounds like a confusing upbringing, right?
And that confusion was settled when I was received into the ROCOR, and that confusion.
And does confusion breed confusion?
Sorry?
Does confusion breed more confusion?
Well,
if you don't sort it out,
there was no confusion when I had joined ROCOR. Thank God. And the person
that's only 3 years ago, my friend.
And the person, 1 second. And the person, by the way, it was an Antiochian priest. I was baptized in an Antiochian church by a ROCOR priest because I had talked to
3 years ago, right?
Priest. Sorry?
Was his name Father Stephen?
Father Stephen?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
that's the only one I know.
I'm not gonna like allude to names here, Just
I'm not gonna say any last names, but that's the only one I know. That's ROCOR on loan to any. But okay.
No. He was He was a ROCOR priest, but he came to do the baptism at the Antiochian church.
Why?
Sorry.
Why?
Because I had told the Antiochian priest. Because this occurred in a state that I was not living in, but I was in a state for a month, and I met a conservative Antiochian priest, and I had told him about like everything that had occurred to me, and that up until that point I was attending a ROCOR parish, and I told him my entire story. I don't want to give out the details in this public stream.
That's fine.
And he said, and he said, you know what, brother, we're gonna correct this. You said you were going to a ROCOR parish. I know a ROCOR priest who would be willing to come down here and, perform a baptism on you. And thank God in June of 2021, I was baptized through the Russian Orthodox Church.
Why didn't he just baptize you himself?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
He said
highly irregular, actually.
Well, he said he knew a ROCOR priest. I don't know his intentions. He told me that, I believe his intentions were to just, because I had told him I was going to a ROCOR parish prior to that, and he was already close with a ROCOR priest.
So did you start attending his parish?
Sorry?
Did you start attending that ROCOR priest parish, or did you stay under Antioch?
No,
I'm a little confused.
No. So allow me to explain. So prior,
Please.
I said that this occurred in a state that I did not live in. right? I was only
Okay.
visiting there for a month, right?
Okay.
I don't want to give out like the state name and everything because people can use that against me for publicity. So I live in Maryland now, right? Just for full clarification.
I gotcha.
I live in Maryland, and
Mhm.
while I was here in Maryland, I was at that time I was attending a Russian Orthodox church, right?
Okay.
And then I had went to another state for a month, and I was going to that Antiochian parish because it was the
Mhm.
closest parish to me. And I had
Mhm.
a conversation with the priest who was actually very well versed on, like what has occurred between Antioch and the Monophysites, but he was very conservative, right? And he had told me that we're going to fix this, So he called down another priest from a parish that was
Well,
slightly farther away, but to come down.
so wait, hold on. So let me get these details right. So you were an Armenian going to Antiochian parishes growing up.
Growing up, and then in
Okay.
2020,
And then in 2020,
2020 is like
you started going to Rocor Parish in Maryland, right?
no. In 2020, that's when
Okay.
like I kind of like, because at that point like I wasn't really practicing anything, I kind of had
Uh-huh.
like a faith crisis, and that's
Okay,
what
so
got me
you
into
didn't have
studying.
any catechism whatsoever.
Sorry.
You go to another state, a Rocor priest comes down and baptizes you, and then you go back to Maryland.
And by the way, the Rocor priest, which my Rocor priest does know of this, but I explained to him everything that had happened. But what I was trying to say is this.
So
Let me
you're
get a little
hiding
more
stuff
deep.
from your priest. That's great.
I'm not
Okay,
hiding
so
stuff. He knows about all of this.
you just said you didn't tell him.
I said I did tell him.
Okay.
Yeah, I said I
So
did tell him. I said he
so you
knows
go.
about all of this. I
So
told him
after
everything.
hold on, after you're done with your month, then you go back to Maryland and you go to Rocor under a different priest
No, under the same priest. So I'll explain
that
to you.
baptized you.
So 2020. Sorry?
The one that baptized you, or the one that you were going to originally?
No, the one who was one of the archpriests at the parish that I was going to prior to that, right? So I don't want to give out
Uh,
I don't want to give out like the names and everything
Oh, I
for the
already
sake
know.
of.
There's not that many parishes. I think I know what's going on here.
Sorry?
Okay, I think I know
I,
what's going on here. I already know.
I,
So
I still don't know, but Ascender has a question which has been gnawing at me the whole time, which is what actually
go
led
ahead.
to
Sorry,
you
Fire, go
quitting.
ahead.
No, please. What actually led to you quitting the GOCK, John? And again, I will remind you, the last time you spoke to me before this, you said, I'm going back to my GOCK parish. And I
Yeah, I
said,
was thinking
good.
about it, yeah.
No, you didn't say it. You said I had gone back. I think you actually said I
No,
went
no, no.
back.
When was GOCK?
Sorry?
What?
When was the GOCK?
That's what he
All right.
told me 2 years ago.
So that was 2022.
Or maybe
So,
last year, at the beginning of last year.
so you were quickie baptized into Rocor in 2021.
Not a
Then
quickie.
within a year, hold up. Then within a year, you're going to the true Orthodox. And then you go from Kalinikos to the Matthewites. When do you go to the Matthewites?
Well, I was
2022
aspiring.
as well?
I never joined the Matthewites. I was just aspiring
But
to
you were
join.
attending them?
No, I wasn't.
Or you're just reading their stuff?
No. I was, because the Matthewite Synod that I had wanted to join. I want to kind of backtrack to what occurred in 2021 and 2020. But the
Sure.
Matthewite Synod that I was aspiring to join, which at that time was under Metropolitan Chrysostomos of Thebes, who sadly reposed in the Lord. But I wanted to have joined his synod, right?
Mhm.
And I personally believe he was a saint. He was a very holy man, Metropolitan Chrysostomos. But essentially, they have a parish in Philadelphia, and and I was in contact with like the laymen,
Were
and
you ever received by them?
no, I never
No.
formally joined the Matthewites. I
No,
was just
that's what he
aspiring
just
to
said.
join them.
He was never received. So
Yeah,
he's
I was
only
just
been Rocor. Well, he's been unofficially Antiochian, officially Rocor. Were you received by the Kalinikos?
yeah, I was received through
So he's officially
cremation.
Kalinikos. Now he's back to Rocor within 2 years.
I mean,
He told me he went back to the
It's
GOCK
2024
parish.
now.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, I wouldn't consider like this jumping from like Catholicism to monophysitism, right? I mean, all of them, like you guys might disagree,
No,
but
it's
all of
jumping from monophysitism to World Orthodoxy to True Orthodoxy and back
I
to World
never, I
Orthodoxy.
never, I trust me, I never once believed in what the Armenian Church teaches. I was just sadly as an infant.
Well, yeah,
and
I
never,
got you, but that's what you were raised in, whether you like it or not.
No, I was raised in the Antiochian Church. I never once attended an Armenian.
Which was affirming the Armenian Church.
Sorry?
They were affirming that.
Or affirming the Armenians.
Yeah, I know you guys want to make that argument, but I'm just talking about.
That's not an argument. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's official teaching.
Yeah.
All right.
If they were Antiochians in good standing that were truly Orthodox, then they would not have let you commune or serve in an Antiochian parish because
maybe those
Armenians were heretics.
Yeah, those specific priests, they made a heretical mistake, but that's not what every Antiochian.
Not according to their synod.
Sorry?
Not according to their synod. They have pastoral agreements.
It's clearly not.
I mean, you are the fruit. John, you are literally the fruit of their pastoral agreements, and see how confused you are.
And I thought I was baptized, and honestly, like prior to.
I understand. I actually feel bad for you because you are the fruits of the pastoral agreement.
And that confusion was, it stopped when I had joined RoCore. I was at peace.
I doubt that. It seems like you're still confused there, buddy.
I was at peace. My confusion only started to come back when I had gotten into true orthodoxy.
And what you perceive to be true orthodoxy, because half the people half the people you defended, you never joined.
I can't see coming into true orthodoxy is creating confusion. Man, what it did for me was give me light.
And it gives you peace, and there's no division or confusion.
Well, there is a lot of division amongst true Orthodox on issues that they condemn each other over. Come on.
No. I'm talking I'm not talking about the polemics. I'm talking about once you become true Orthodox, it's the veils fall from the eyes.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
And the reason,
our passage today in Matthew 5. I'm the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. If the salt loses its savor, it's cast out. In other words, if there's compromise in the clergy, they are cast out. If their light is a bushel is put over the light, it gets covered. So when men get tempted into prosperity and monies and positions, they lose their testimony. And so true orthodoxy stands out as the light and salt. And there has to be truth somewhere. And it sounds to me like, John, it's like you're swimming around there without any solid anchoring.
It feels like you have
anywhere.
no guidance. It feels like you have no guidance. Do you have a spiritual father?
Yes.
Or did you have a spiritual father?
Yeah, I did have a spiritual father, yes. And he's
in RoCore or Ecclesiological?
Both.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah.
You bounced around a little bit within a few years.
Again, my situation wasn't like someone from Roman Catholic, like many of the converts to Orthodox.
I mean, I hear you trying to justify what's going on, but
I'm not trying to justify it. I'm trying to explain.
I know, a lot of people interested in your history.
Because a lot of people use this against me, right? They like to say like, "Oh,
I wouldn't say it's used against you. You're literally the fruits of the pastoral agreement. That's not using against you. That's what you are."
Well, people take that and they use it to like doubt my baptismal status. People have done it in the past. They're saying like, "Oh,
well, I don't doubt your baptismal status now."
Sorry,
but I don't doubt your baptismal status. I mean, obviously, you told us what happened.
I had a lot of people. I've had a lot of people, and I was trying to explain this back in 2020, right? When I started getting back into like practicing Orthodoxy, right? What I was trying to say was is that I had thought that I was baptized in the Antiochian Church, because when that was all you were ever exposed to growing up, and you're told that as an infant you were baptized in the Orthodox Church, because you have to remember the Armenians also call themselves Orthodox. I was like, oh, I'm already baptized in the Antiochian Church, And then I tell my grandmother, hey, can you go fish out my baptismal document? Because she was telling me herself as well that, oh, yeah, you were baptized there, right, at the Antiochian church you were going to. So I told her to get out my baptismal certificate. I looked at it. And dude, I was like shocked when I saw it. And this was like, and I had told people that, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
thank
I
God
mean
for
that's not
baptism.
your baptism according to Orthodoxy.
Yeah, I
Your
know.
baptism would have been yeah. Okay,
You
I
know
got you.
what I mean. I don't want
Yeah,
to
I
say
got
like
you.
quote
I got you.
unquote for lack of rhetoric. Obviously, I don't recognize it as a true baptism for lack
I
of
got you.
rhetoric. Yeah. So I was devastated when I had saw that because I was like, man. So I felt like betrayed. I felt like, oh, I've been lied to my entire life. I thought I was Orthodox my entire life, pretty much.
So, were you chrismated into the Clinical Synod?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
So my situation is like very different from like, like many people convert to Orthodoxy because most people like they come out of Roman Catholicism. They're kind of like, oh, I'm done with what's going on there.
No, I didn't
I
come out of
like,
Roman Catholicism, so
I'm
I
not
can't
saying
really
you,
relate. Yeah,
I'm saying like a lot of people. I'm saying a lot of people, right? A lot of people whom I know
yeah.
personally, right?
I
They
know a
come out
couple
of
of them. Yeah.
yeah, they come out of like another and I say quote unquote denomination. You guys know what I mean, right? They come out of another church or quote unquote denomination. And, they just go to Orthodoxy because, like they've prayed about it, they've studied about it, and they were convinced it's the truth, that it's the truth of Christ, right? Me, on the other
Mm-hmm.
hand, I thought I was Orthodox my entire life. And then I found out when I found out my baptism certificate, I felt like betrayed, and my heart was broken. Like I was devastated. I'm like, dude, I
John,
have
can
to
I
fix
ask
it.
you? John, can I ask you a question? And it's an honest question. It's not a gotcha question. But have you ever thought that maybe those events had more of an effect on your doubts about who you are as Orthodox than anything we did?
I don't nothing that you guys did. There's nothing that you
Not
guys.
us, but I mean true Orthodox. Like
True Orthodoxy. Yeah.
Honestly, I would say that in a lot of ways in regards with the Matthewites, and I still
that was
consider
one thing I do remember. I remember when you were talking about the Matthewites, you were threatening to get baptized again.
Yeah, I know because true Orthodoxy, like, and I'm not saying this is
I
what true
wouldn't say it's
Orthodoxy
true
does to people.
Orthodoxy. It sounds like you're having issues with personalities within true Orthodoxy.
Well, no, the Matthew.
Because,
The Matthewites do, like, for the most part, they do rebaptize. There are people who go
of
into the
course,
even.
yeah.
I
They
don't know
even
Matthewites who baptized any Florinites, and I told you that would be a problem.
I mean, the Kiriko Synod does.
The Kiriko Synod baptized. Okay, so does Gregory of Colorado. That doesn't count.
Oh,
Yeah.
but the Kiriko Synod is actually a decently sized synod. They're not just like a couple chapels in Thessaloniki like Chrysostomos Metropoulos. They're a big synod.
How would you know? You've never visited one.
No, I talked to Bishop Sozomenos, I talked to Father Matthew Holmes, I've talked with their clerics. They said, yes, we baptize everybody.
Right, but I'm talking about the size and everything. They're not a sizable synod. They're a tiny break off the Stephanos Matthewites.
No, there's a lot. Come on, they have a lot of missions throughout the
I
world. I've seen their numbers.
I like Bishop Sozomenos as much as the next guy. I loved his meme, but the reality is that they're not that big, and it's fine.
I mean, compared to like the
Are you
Florentine
talking
synods,
about the one that's over in the British Isles?
Yeah, that's
No,
what does.
no, they're not that big. No,
they're pretty. Like even in Cyprus,
no,
like they
dude,
have.
I've been over there. No, they're not that big. Sorry.
All right. Well, even if I were to grant this, size doesn't matter. There's still a Matthewite synod, and you can
Willing to
argue.
baptize you. That's my point. It seems to be that's your real focus, is that lack of certainty about your baptism.
Yeah, and it seems like it's haunted you throughout your journey here. You're looking for validation.
It's just because the Kiriko Synod, that's what they told me they would do. And the Kiriko Synod does have more parishes here as compared to both the Chrysostomos Synod and the Stephanite Synod. And Mitropoulos' Synod doesn't even exist over
I was
here.
talking overseas.
What are you talking about here? That there's Father Matthew Holmes and his.
That's about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the only one. That's the only one with a priest.
Well, you
but
were just saying that they have stuff.
They're not that big.
Yeah,
they're not that big.
No, that's the only one. That's the only one with a permanent priest. But apart from Father Matthew Holmes's parish, they have multiple like parishes that are ran by like readers or like laity.
Mission chapels.
Mission chapels. Exactly. They have one in Virginia. They have one in Florida.
Well, everybody's got them. What's your point?
Yeah. So, well, what I'm trying to say is that compared to the
Even
other
Rocor
Matthewite
MP has
synods,
those.
they have what I'm trying to say is that compared to the
Yeah.
other Matthewite synods, they're actually one of the more sizable ones. Because first, the Chrysostomo synod only has 2 parishes, 2 mission parishes, and they're their only 2 parishes, which are actually considered to be independent of the synod in
I
Greece.
feel we're
In
splitting
New
here.
York,
I'm gonna try to hit you
Well,
with
you know,
painful reality, and the reality is that either of those groups that you mentioned would still be smaller than the Sunday crowd at Agia Scepi of the Stephanos Synod in Astoria. All of them
the
put together.
Stephanos, the Stephanos
and
synod,
if I could say that, the size of these groups isn't the issue. The main issue is you finding a spiritual father and getting these issues straightened out in your heart. That's
One
the main
spiritual
issue.
father. Choose one.
yeah,
Don't
You guys,
bounce around.
we're here to help you out.
I have my spiritual father from the Rocor.
But
Is it the same one you had the first time?
Yes. And he's guiding me as I'm coming back to the Rocor. He's been guiding me, you know?
Why are
Good.
you?
he's in the MP.
And he told you come on here and argue with us.
Sorry?
Did he think this was a good idea?
No, I came on here to tell you that, hey, it's me, John. Hey, it's me, John. I
You knew
returned
it
back
would.
to the
You
Rocor.
knew it. You couldn't have not but known how the reaction would be.
I mean, I'm allowed to tell you why I'm going back to Rocor. There's nothing I'm allowed to tell you
I'm
that.
just sad to hear it.
It's not like I'm making a website called againsttrueorthodoxy.com doing polemics against you guys. In
Oh,
fact,
I'm just waiting for that.
Give it a week.
In fact,
2 weeks.
no, come on. Let's see. Come on. You guys don't have to be disingenuous and condescending here. I'm
We're not
like
being
you.
disingenuous. I've seen it before.
Sorry.
I'm not being disingenuous. I've seen it before.
What?
You're-
Because I used to come on here.
We're
a
not
couple
talking about you
years-
personally. We're talking as
Other
as a whole.
people, yeah.
Other people.
Other people. No, I said that I do believe that the majority of true Orthodox synods are Orthodox Christians.
Well, then you're going to have a problem in world orthodoxy, buddy.
Sorry?
Because a lot of them don't. At all.
Great. Okay, great. Guess what? Throughout church history, especially in the face of what's going on in the church right now, there's been saints on all sides, right? I personally still think that many of the old calendar saints are saints. I have them on my icon corner. There's been saints on all sides. There's been some who have said that all of these other people are graceless. And
What do you think about Elder Paisios?
Sorry?
What do you think about Elder Paisios now?
I mean, I haven't studied his writings that much, but I believe he's a saint.
Sunrise in the chat asks, "What does he think of Metropolitan Jonah?"
No, Paffhausen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's your best friend.
I've heard a lot of things about him. If what I've heard about him are true, like he believes in evolution or that kind of stuff, I would say.
Have you watched his videos?
No, I haven't.
He's there's some on the Orthodox archive. You might want to do that.
Yeah, I could. He doesn't.
Guess what? You're in communion with him now. Good job.
Well, he doesn't represent. Well, guess what? He doesn't dogmatically.
Yeah, but
represent.
you share communion with him, don't you?
And he's in Rocor, MP.
Yep.
Yeah, I could be in communion with him. Doesn't mean that I have to believe in everything he says.
So is he a heretic?
Or a bishop?
I don't know if he's a heretic. I haven't seen any of his things.
Would you have to wait till a synod condemns him, or
all I can say is that this question of who's a heretic is not a heretic. I mean, we don't. Well, I mean, there's some form of agnosticism with some people, even according to you guys, because you guys have bishops that other bishops say is a heretic, and that's why there's always schisms.
Like who?
And I know you guys
pick
do
my
not
bishop.
like
Why not? Let's have some fun. Pick my bishop.
All right, which synod are you under now?
Metropolitan John, same one I was under before.
Metropolitan John, is that the Metropolia?
Yep.
Okay, great. Do you guys recognize the Floronites?
What does that mean?
Do you recognize them as part of the Orthodox Church?
You mean the historical Floronites?
Like the Macario Synod, the Canonical Synod, the synods now. Do you recognize them?
We recognize that many can be Orthodox. We are in communion with the GOC in Avlona.
Avlona. Okay, I don't know too. All right, great. So the Avlona, they come from my knowledge, they come from the Canonical Synod in 2013-14, correct?
No.
Well, I haven't studied much about the Avlona Synod.
Okay,
Okay,
no,
we're
it wasn't
back.
on the live stream.
We're sorry about
Thank you.
that.
So the Avlona Synod is and I know you guys are saying, oh, what do they say now? But history is important. So the Avlona Synod is a Greek Old Calendar Synod that
Yeah,
ultimately
yeah.
descends from Florinite, right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, great. So are you saying that on an official level, right?
Mhm.
And I can even demonstrate this from Struggle Against Ecumenism and many other old calendars books like Foston Skoti, Elejos Kainatrope, which are Greek books that a lot of people don't know about. But are you saying that according to even your synod's history, there hasn't been bishops condemning each other on an official level through encyclicals and in a conciliar manner as heretical? Because
To my
one says,
knowledge, the Avlona Synod has never issued an encyclical condemning any other group.
no, I'm talking about through their history because they ultimately come from
Well,
a
they're
country
actually,
above, right?
I think Avlona specifically, I think is waiting to see how history sorts itself out.
Yeah, that's
I
their
don't think.
only.
I think it's a matter of. I think a lot of these supposed things you're calling out between synods is more personality than it is
No,
dogmatic.
it's not personality. And at the end of the day, even
Uh,
between true orthodoxy and world orthodoxy, all of this is polemical, right? In
I mean,
regards to,
Is it?
yeah, it is
the
all
only thing I
polemical. Yep.
remember dogmatically being like tossed about, but I think that's been a few years now, is the name worship stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of sorted
Which
itself
thank
out.
which
today.
thank
That's sort of
which thank God Hockner recently recanted of.
No,
did
they
that.
didn't.
Oh, I thought they did.
No, they
I
didn't.
thought they did.
No,
Oh, was that a lie?
it's like a half and half.
I don't know. It depends what PDF you're reading. I don't know.
Oh, I kind of because I have like this right here. It pretty much said that they accept like the synods that condemn name worship that they had rejected before.
It's kind of like a half-hearted acceptance. It's sort of like we accept that the teaching in the synod is correct. We don't accept that the people were condemned properly. It's like legalistic mumbo jumbo that basically says
Wait.
we accept the synod, but we don't.
Are they removing saints off the calendar?
Yeah, today's the feast of Saint Jerome. He doesn't exist on their calendar.
That's a problem.
Well, after Augustine, why stop now? Just start.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was mean. He's out.
Yeah, so my bad. You guys had cut out for me once again, but what I was trying
That's all
to
right.
yeah, what I was trying to say, I don't know. That's just something I heard. I mean, I
We
could
we were just laughing and having fun. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm glad that, it's much more lighthearted now. Not like, it's not like kind of blood wars anymore. It's much more light now. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, we're a friendly bunch. But at any rate, we are now way past 3 hours, going on midnight.
We're gonna have to rename the whole stream.
Yeah.
I recommend that you get a spiritual father that's true Orthodox. That'll be a real help for you and bring in some clarity into your life because you're going to continue in your ball of confusion.
No, I'm not. I'm at peace now. Just the same peace I had. I never had peace. I never really had peace in the GOCK or in the Matthewites. I only had peace in
So
the
you weren't
Rotor.
part of the Matthewites, so it doesn't matter.
I know, but even when I was aspiring to join them, I never had peace with that aspiration. I constantly like it just gave me a lot of, and I'm not saying this is the
So
case
you
for
only
all-
experienced one synod of the whole true orthodoxy, and based on your bad experience, you're tossing that on all true orthodoxy.
Well, no, I'm not. First of all, I'm not just making it purely out of experience. Now,
And
I
you
know
have
you guys.
barely been inside that synod, like not even a year, right? Maybe 2
Yeah.
years.
No,
Okay.
I was. I know. I
Yeah,
was in
because
the.
that's enough time to experience everything. Okay. I got you.
No, but I talked with their
And
clerics.
can you really say you're at peace now?
Yeah, I am at peace. Yes, just like how I was at peace in 2021 when I was happily attending the Rotor. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at peace. My anxiety and my the struggles that I've had only came back when I was in the GOCK, and then once I saw their inconsistencies and how they've contradicted themselves 100 times over on matters that they consider to be heretical or not
All right.
heretical.
Ascender is asking this question a few times, and I think he'd really like to have the answer. Why did you leave the GOCK?
So originally, why I had left the GOCK is because I saw that, and I had talked with many of their clerics about this. I saw that they were very inconsistent with the history of the old
So you
calendars.
had a
They can't.
personality issue. Gotcha.
What happened with your priest?
Yeah.
John?
His internet.
Hello.
You can
Yeah.
actually hear it clip out. His internet clipped out again.
What happened with your priest, John?
He's not back yet.
UNESCO, and Archbishop Seraphim of Chicago,
And
who
he's
even
back.
said in his 1972 letter that he would have never
No,
ordained
we have a
bishop.
question for you. Father Joseph asked you a question. We don't hear that.
Yeah, a sender asked, why did you leave the GOCK? And I'm specifically asking you also, why did you leave your priest?
Because I had said, trust me, I love many people in the GOCK, including the priest I had, right? I love him. They're, great confessors of the faith.
So why
but
did you
I
leave?
had left it. So I had left personally because I saw that they were inconsistent. I can recognize that.
What do you
there
mean
were-
inconsistent? Give us examples.
Yeah, like just look at the history of the Florinites. I mean,
I'm not asking for a history lesson. I'm asking what were they personally inconsistent about?
I mean, it's not. I don't care about like if they were personally consistent or inconsistent about something.
All
I
right,
care
so
about what
you
they're
had an
actually
idea
did.
of the history, how it should be, and if they didn't meet your standard of what you thought true orthodoxy should be, then you
No,
went
it's
back to
not.
Rocco.
Clearly, it wasn't my own opinion or own interpretation of history. Because if it was, then there wouldn't have been schisms.
Well, why you give me a
the issues
history
you're
lesson
bringing
if it's
up.
not the history?
Sorry.
Why are you trying to give me a history lesson if it's not the history that you found the inconsistencies in with the people?
But I'm saying the inconsistencies that I have found were not of my own accord. Because if they were, then there wouldn't have been.
Well, you're going to have a
schisms
lot
within
more
the
fun with
GOC.
RoCore MP because
All right.
the RoCore MP now, after 2007, is a lot more inconsistent than anything before 2007. So
And
good
by
luck. You bought
What's
the
the
same. You
standard
bought the
you're
same phone
judging
twice.
by?
Yeah, but
What's
the
the
problem
standard
is
you're judging by?
but the problem is, and even the Florinites make a similar argument to the Matthewites, which is kind of ironic because then Florinites
Who
appealed
cares?
to
The
Matthewites.
Matthewites you never joined, but said you
Who
did.
who cares at this point? What was the problem at the parish that you were attending?
Matthewites, sorry?
No. What was the problem at your local parish that you were attending under the Canonical Synod?
Like, there doesn't have to be a specific problem
Yes,
with
there
that.
has to be because that's why you left.
I left because I thought the GOC, the institution, the organization as a whole, I believe, and I still believe that they contradict themselves. Just like how they say that RoCore fell under its own anathemas, I believe they did
How
the
did they
same.
contradict themselves personally
Very,
at your local parish?
very simple. The fact that they were part of the GOC, which consistently
So they didn't do anything. It's just that they were part of the GOCK
Right. In
that
other
you
words,
thought had a problem. I got it.
I believe the history is inconsistent. They are part of the history, therefore they are inconsistent. Seems to be your logic.
Well, first of all, it's not I thought the history was inconsistent. I
Well,
pointed out issues.
then who is it?
You guys
Who
haven't
had problem
let me
with the
say-
history?
Who did?
You guys haven't let me make this one point. Please, I've been trying to make.
Well,
this
we're
one
trying
point.
to get you to clarify because you're beating around the dick.
Into hour 3, man. What are you talking about? Make the point.
I'm making the point. Give me 10 seconds, okay?
All right,
Again,
10.
the issues
9.
that I had pointed out. All right, stop interrupting me while I focus. All right.
7.
All right. So, anyways, the inconsistencies were not of my own accord, but of other GOC synods that pointed it out through which they had schisms with them. So it wasn't my personal opinion. Other GOC synods have had schisms over the issues that I was pointing out.
Did you bring this up to your spiritual father?
Yes, I did. And I brought this up to Metropolitan Demetrius himself when I was at St. John's Monastery.
What were the
What did he
issues?
say?
I mean, I love
What were the
Father-
issues?
Well,
I
no,
love,
I mean,
I love
no,
Metropolitan.
What were your
Yeah.
criticisms?
Yeah.
Well-
my criticism.
Come on, answer the question. What were your criticisms?
I'm answering it right now. My first criticism was that if you read the Memorandum of Orthodoxy in 1947 from Chrysostomos of Florina,
The one he
was asserting it.
retracted. The one
when
that
you
he-
retracted. Okay, good
No,
job.
no,
All
no,
right,
no, no.
let's
That
go.
wasn't. No, no, no. He in his 1950 encyclical.
And he's gone again.
All right, guys, I'd love to stay, but it's midnight, everyone.
I want to go to bed.
Yeah,
It's late.
yeah.
We
Yep.
we do this every Sunday.
Pick it up another time.
John, if you want to reach out to me on Gab or on the cafe or any of the other ways, my email is also in the description of the channel. And you want to dedicate a show to this discussion, we can do that. but like we were just trying to figure out the tech today, man. In any case, we're glad to see that you're alive. I'm not glad to see what's happened. I hope that you
physically alive, spiritually dead.
Take Father Boniface's advice and find a good true Orthodox spiritual father.
I just want to clarify. I was spiritually dead in true Orthodoxy, not in roll court, not now.
Too late. You're already there.
Well,
all right. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. I'd like to once again let me just close off by, of course, saying thank you to everyone, to our guests, to Reader John, to Father Boniface, to Zelotes and Spiridon, to John, who had a lot of things to say, to our listeners, to everyone who asked and had comments. I'm sorry I missed comments. I don't know how to put them on the screen in the system. I may look for another system. To those who support our mission, support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on GiveSend, or on Odyssey. We remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for all the support for NFTU. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. May God bless you all in the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit, and have a great night, everyone.
Amen.
Okay, let me figure out quickly how to... Okay, so I'm going to go here. No, I'm going to... Hold on. I don't actually know how to shut this off. Give me a moment. Good night, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to press end stream. And then on Euphrosynos, this chat, I have to also press